Hello, stream.
Looking for a speed buff thief?
Washed up jungler.
We're looking for a
Haha, thank you for the sub,
jungler.
Zany. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate it, guys. I'm actually gonna mute my stuff.
Welcome one, welcome all to the Smite Showcase. Season 5 is finally here. We're a little bit delayed by a day, but weather caused that situation more than anything else.
Yeah, Atlanta is not equipped for cold weather.
No. Happy birthday, by the way, AJ.
Oh, thank you.
First of all.
It's such an exciting day for me.
Joining
This camera's
Ajax
kinda
on
bad
stage
quality.
with us today, or on the set, I should say, is Christian. Christian, tell us a little bit about what you do so the fans at home know.
Yeah, so I'm the lead environment artist for Smite, and basically I work with Chuck and the rest of my crew, and we basically do the entire environment for all of Smite stuff.
Awesome. So you've been involved heavily in the map then, I guess.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Big time involved.
Well, we got a lot of things to go through today, so I hope you all at home have made sure you've got yourself drinks and food ready because it's going to be a long one. I don't think anyone's going to complete bingo if you played on Reddit today. I was looking at the bingo board, and I don't think all those things are possible.
It was not a very good bingo.
If it
this
happens,
time.
I'd be very impressed.
It was funny, but it's not going to bingo.
Didn't work as well. So
Yeah.
we're going to start things off with new Pantheons. We discussed them a little bit earlier on at Hires Expo. We have, I believe, Voodoo and Slavic.
That is true.
Is what we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, I mean, we're changing up our Pantheon system a little bit, which is cool. What we want to do is add more unique gods to the game, and we don't want to hold ourselves back with a lot of constraints. So these new Pantheons are going to be added. We're going to add gods for them this year, but we're not going to pressure ourselves to add full rosters of Voodoo and Slavic gods. So you get one for now. Maybe we'll do some more later. Maybe we'll do more different Pantheons, but we're not going to like pressure ourselves into making 5 Voodoo gods right away.
So there's the two things. Obviously, we've already discussed the Pantheons. We've also got the Ragnarok event that's going to be going on, and it's already started.
Oh, yeah.
And will continue for the next couple of patches.
Oh, that's the skins we saw during the intro here with Jingwei and Kakulin.
They look
They're
sick.
really cool,
Ooh,
kind
it
of
got
Hades'
loud, dude.
underworld
What the hell?
themed. So that's going to be the second bundle. There's going to be one more, so there's 3 total patches for Ragnarok. So next patch you'll get a few more skins
That's
for that.
a really
event as
cool
well.
Hades
And then
scene.
after the Ragnarok, we're going to go into Season 5 Conquest Map. But we're quickly going to look very fast at the skins that are coming out. We're going to look at the card art for these skins, and we'll go into game a little bit later on for you all as a sort of a break. Let's have a look at, we've basically some videos for you, so we can play the video at the same time as we can, just discuss it.
Okay, cool.
Jingwei's the first one we potentially have available here. And there's
Oh,
a card
yeah.
art for the Jingwei. God, she looks a little bit psychotic.
Well,
in
you
that
know,
one.
Jingwei is very fun and young, but now she's like a demon too. So you stack those things together and...
With the horns as well, that was pretty good. That's the Jingwei. We've also got... Oh, there's a little looking game. Wow, these new shots looking good.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah, the
little
bow
hooves.
turned
I
out
like
really
it.
well.
We'll get to see it in game a little bit later on. That's Jingwei. Next
Mhm.
up, Kakulin. Fiendish Kakulin. You saw it on the intro too. Wow, the gems. Gems. If they were green, it'd just look
I don't
like
like
you'd just
this skin.
stolen.
I think
all
all
the
these
gems
skins
as
are
well.
so
That's a
boring
good,
for Cullen.
that's a
I
good
don't know
idea.
why.
Maybe we'll bring that back. Gems.
Even the
Star Cullen, it'll just
transformations
be a
just
green
like they
version
could
of
do
this
more.
one, but-
Maybe that'd be the case.
For now, this one's really cool and really unique. And my favorite thing is really if you can see the kind of facial structure they did on the Berserk form, it's really like a big demon as opposed to more of a Kakulin but bigger.
That makes a lot of sense. Then next up after that is Star Salvager Skadi. Oh, that dog.
Oh,
That's
That
a
dog's
good
pretty dope.
all dogs are good
That's
dogs. But this
not
one's
good dog.
especially
That
good.
one's a real good dog, though.
Yeah.
Good dog.
The best doggo. There's a little look at it in game. We'll get to look at that later.
Sleeping on
as well.
skins? No, this is a
This
good
dog,
skin.
we had such a
Cullen
great
skins
time in the
meh.
like discussions of art and iteration on this, and we're so happy with how it turned out.
Can't wait to hear the voice lines on that as well, just to see how that one works out. Next up is Knight of Wisdom Athena. Oh, she reminds me of the Hercules one.
Yeah, she's
Kinda like
very
a sister.
I like
traditional.
it. Bro, you're
medieval
about to be
style
Ares,
on that.
Athena,
I know
and
people have
Hercules
been
on the
asking
same
for a skin
team.
like this for Athena.
You're not
so
gonna know
we're really
who's who.
stoked about this one too.
Yeah, the plumage as well. Reminds me of the Hercules one a lot. Ooh,
That's
I do like the
clean.
armor on that
I
too.
like the
The
what
way
the
she
fuck is
holds
the
her
thing
sword
called?
and shield, or her
not
lance
a
and shield,
sword,
works
lance,
perfectly for this
yeah.
kind
She
of
needs a
skin.
horse though. She's missing a horse with a lance that big.
Oh man, her kit does not really need a horse though, so
Can
that'll
she-
be tough.
Can she have like a flying horse that makes her ult across the map? I don't know.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just
Oh
gonna
wow,
guess.
that would really take it up a notch.
Next up, Demonic Thanatos is the next one.
Ooh.
AJ.
Okay.
That one looks great.
Yes, this is a pretty crazy skin, as you can see. You're going to have some very key differences between this one
Holy
and
fuck,
ones it might
why?
be reminiscent of. It's actually got
Why?
very big model change
So
across the
good.
board.
They
The
didn't
wings,
put
the
that so
face, the
many
weapon,
skins.
the armor, all different. It's also not going to be transforming at all.
Yeah.
It's going to look like that all the time.
We'll get into that stuff
So
later.
we'll
on
get
as
into
well
more details on it. Yeah,
with
but
those skin stuff.
it's
as
really
well.
cool.
Demonic Thunder says Pale Raven Morrigan. I mean, end of the day, she's Celtic, so she will be pale anyway. That's not really a shot. Don't think we need to put in there. But she's got a raven.
It's a white raven.
As
It's
well.
very cool.
It is. Looks awesome. We've got no...
Okay.
I thought we had a video.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. I wasn't so sure.
Surprise.
I was shocked by it
cool
as well.
Morrigan
So there's a
skin.
look at the crown.
Yeah,
looks
different
good.
color
I
style.
like
You
the
can have
white.
full
Face is
effects and
kinda
everything
ugly.
changed on that one too.
Next up, Anarchist Bologna will be in this one.
That's a lot of
This one,
fucking
from what I
skins.
remember, if I remember the card out correctly for Anarchist Bologna,
Yeah.
it's a recolor.
Recolor, yeah. Now we're running into the next few will be the season ticket recolor.
Awesome. So these are going to be part of the
Okay.
season ticket.
Tier 3 recolors, yeah.
Okay. So that's the Bologna one. There's a little look at it in game as well. So not the pink style, but still the crazy style.
Yeah, when we were originally concepting the skin, we were like red and black, but then we're like, we kind of have a lot. We can probably make some more interesting colors, but then we're like, we still really liked how it looked, so coming back.
After that, we've got Groovy Aphrodite.
Oh,
Hella
yeah.
groovy in this one. I really like this.
Yes,
card art.
this one's also getting a full like texture and modeling update, as well as the
Oh.
old Aphrodite will also be updated. I mean, we've seen this before. The hair is much better. We spent a lot more time on that.
She looks badass.
Overall texture is updated, so it looks really good.
She looks bad.
That hair.
in that one,
Damn.
yeah.
How about that hair, right?
Titties.
Next up, Handsome Hunter Ho Yi.
Oh yeah, look at that.
We couldn't think of anything else, so we went, he's handsome. He's
Tina-
a hunter.
Tina and I actually brainstormed on this one for quite a while. It was not an easy one to name.
Mamba's
but,
new girl. That's
You
so
know, we're playing
racist.
off of that really
You could have called it Blue Steel.
romantic. Oh, yeah,
Blue
that was
Steel Ho Yi.
Hindu man. Where are we gonna get you to more of these
Listen.
for early art brainstorms?
Listen,
Because you're
just
just
show me later
a
on.
good idea machine.
That's kind of what they have me for most of the time.
Yeah.
Titanium
seriously.
Ronin Susano is the
Oh,
next
yeah.
one here.
Yeah, so it's the he's
Oh,
a lot
that's-
more red normally. This time we've got a little more
Yeah, I was gonna say,
metallic
it's just the red skin
color on his armor.
with some
Blue steel.
gold.
Well,
Steel.
with
That
more
could've worked
skins we
too.
could have called
There
Blue
we go.
Steel.
So
It's
come on,
just the
Blue Steel,
Blue
the
Steel
whole-
event.
The Blue Steel patch. That'd have been the greatest. There's a little look at it in game 2. Still, how many more have we got? 2 more on the list to go. No, 1 more on the list to go.
One
I'm
more?
lying. Hired Gun Ares is the last skin for you. Now, obviously, another recolor, part of the season ticket, as we were
Right.
saying.
We really tried to find some really cool skins to recolor with this, and not ones that are kind of harder to obtain sometimes. So now you have
Sure.
a different chance to get those.
More chances to get hold of them.
right.
essentially, yeah. That makes sense.
Dude, you can now
There's a
blend
little look at it
in with
game.
the
But we'll go into
snow
game later on
maps
to
that
show all
don't
the abilities
exist.
of most of these skins, especially the newer ones like the Fiendish ones and the Star Salvager and the Night one too.
Right.
That's a little bit later on. For now, we've got Christian on, so we should definitely get onto the map.
Oh yeah.
We're going to actually go straight into game shortly to have a look at the in-game of this map, and you guys are going to go basically over some of the, the art and stuff with this as well.
Okay,
So we're
okay.
going to start at the Order Titan by the looks of it.
Yeah, so
Frozen
as you can
Titan.
see, the base is completely redone, and we have some new features as well as new characters. First of all, the base layout is very different. You'll see we have these smaller pillars, which are served by fountains, as opposed to some big walls on the inner side. We also have the new Titans, which they're
What?
It's
encased
a rock.
they're encased in crystal.
I forgot it's this
at the beginning
open.
of the game. This is just part of our initiative to add more gameplay feedback and information, so the Titans are not hittable yet, and now we're going to make it clear that that's the case. When you destroy
This
Phoenixes,
is
they'll break out of
so
those.
open.
Okay, so they actually break out after.
Mhm.
I was going to say, you're just going to have a rock in the base that you hit. Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, so we base these on lore too. So this is based off of the original Greek Titans, and so is the enemy Titan.
Yeah, so one thing that we did with the base was just we wanted things to be really clear on what like the corners are and stuff, and
Sure.
then like for the crystal was for gameplay reasons. It's like, listen, we didn't want any players to feel like they can attack the Titan without having to take out the Phoenixes first. So
Gotcha.
and then we have a lot of things on the floor that also to help for gameplay reasons, like the energy
Ooh,
and
the slime.
stuff. And we just tried to make everything really really clear on where edges are and stuff. So when there's a big team fights going on, you'll know where everything is.
Awesome.
How would you describe kind of the new Olympus like style and feel?
We really wanted to get like a pristine marble look going on. I think before it looked a little too much like stone and stuff. So this is Olympus we're talking about. So we wanted to make a pristine. We had some colors that we wanted to use, with basically marble with gold accents and stuff, and understand that this is like you're really entering into the enemy base from the jungle stuff. So we wanted to make this area very particular.
Well, speaking of the jungle, let's actually head over to the jungle now towards the speed buff area. Because that's the first thing you're going to see going into the jungle, I guess, AJ, with the new changes.
This
Yeah,
fog
so
is sick.
we've made a lot of changes to the jungle as we change the map and all the paths and all the size and shapes of things. But one very specific change is that we've relocated the speed buff to be further back, closer to your base. This is to make this one harder to invade.
Okay.
Speed buff generally has one of the biggest potential snowballing factors if it gets invaded. And we really want junglers, throughout Season 5, we're really trying to empower junglers to be jungling. So this is one way we did that, which is bring them back a little further in the map. And we're also going to see their speed buff spawn a little earlier. So we're going to see the speed buff spawn first, and then the mid lane minions clash, and then the rest of the jungle spawning after that.
Gotcha. So it's not going to be possible, I guess, for everyone to group at the speed at the start of the game and then get to lane still in time,
You
right?
could start everyone there, but then you will not make it to your lane in time. Definitely not. And that will put you way behind. And with the map being much wider and the spawn respawn timers for all the junglers being faster, it's a lot harder to clean sweep the whole jungle and keep it clean. You really need to spread out and prioritize things specifically. If you try to roam as a full group, you're going to have a lot harder time with that.
Christian, I see you chose centaurs here as well, by the way.
We did, yeah. So when we first were talking about doing the different camps and stuff, we tried to associate which creatures would go with which colors and stuff. And so we decided to do centaurs for the speed camp just because they got 4 hooves and they're probably pretty quick. And so when we were trying to figure out what kind of their camp was going to be, because we wanted each camp to be individual, we kind of figured that they would be like raiders of some sort, like pillaging and looting types. And so we put these big banners, like they took over this little area, and you could see kind of a ransacked Greek building in the back. And then we wanted to have these banners that could be seen from different lanes. So the main one that's on the big building can be seen from main lane, and then the smaller banners can be seen from different parts of the jungle. So no matter how far you go out, you can see.
Why do they care about the banners?
You can tell where that camp is.
Awesome.
And they're yellow.
And
So that gives you extra feedback that that's the speed buff camp.
Speed.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the order blue buff then, because we're on this side of the map. We might as well go and take a gander.
Oh, this one's really cool.
Over the right-hand side and see what you've put down here. That was the Harpy camp? I'm sure we'll get to that soon.
Yeah, we'll come back to them.
But there's the blue buff. And what have we got here? Satyrs?
Yes,
Are they
we do.
ranged?
So this one's really cool, and the real gameplay tweak here is that they are not ranged anymore.
Oh.
You are now going to be able to pull them and group them up nicely. We think the range was interesting, but it caused some frustration and some weird kind of like issues when you're trying to tank them around the wall. So now they are melee, and they will chase you like a normal melee camp would.
Is all the jungle camps melee-based now?
They are now, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so on the art side for this one, we just thought they were very magical looking and stuff. So we went with the mana camp being this kind of reservoir or like this oasis and stuff. So to just basically associate it with the blue camp, and then we have it overgrown with a lot of foliage and stuff. And the big tree in the middle is kind of our big focal point, where we try to open it up so that also whenever you're in different lanes and at a distance, you can see this big really old tree that's got magical runes and stuff on it to help associate with the satyrs.
Well, from there we can go into the solo lane as well then, because that's where we're up to next. And solo lane, AJ, still solo lane?
How big the lane
Yeah,
is.
solo lane, we made tweaks all across the map. The jungle definitely got more of it. The solo lane has the symmetry is probably the most important thing on solo lanes, and this is actually reflected in all lanes. So previously, order side versus chaos side would have slightly different jungle pathing.
Those archers look amazing.
All minions are remodeled, so we got new archers.
Come on to the evil ones.
Yeah, the evil ones are really cool.
Dope.
Yeah, they're cool.
They're my favorite.
Wow, they look good. So solo lane still has the shortest lane as well,
minion.
like it has been previously.
Indeed. And we'll also see here is our first look at the Rift, which is kind of our thematic as well as gameplay new feature to the map. We have this going across the whole map. This is going to better distinguish the two sides from each other, as well as it ties a little bit into the lore of how the map got the way that it is, with Hades rising his underworld up with his newfound powers since so many people are dying from Ragnarok. And then we also have this translate all the way through the jungle, so you get a little bit more of an extra warning when you're walking towards enemy territory.
You know where the danger zone is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so like when we first were conceiving this, we were like, okay, man, we need something that just like really helps decide, like splits each side of the map. And so we thought of this huge like chasm and basically, Tartarus rising and stuff, and we really needed to convey that there was this really big shift in both sides and stuff. And so we conveyed that with the rift in the middle and on the outside by having this huge chasm that just separates, this nice foresty Greek place that's been destroyed, and then all these like sharp-edged land masses for Tartarus side.
That's awesome. Well, let's head towards the mid lane a little bit. Then we can go towards the mid-harpy area, I guess is next on. We'll come back towards the fire giant momentarily, I'm sure.
Go cruise on past the fire giant, and cruise on past the back harpies, which have also had a slight location change. And then we're here at the mid harpies. So for the gameplay tweaks, really what you have here is you have a bit more travel time from lane. This rock extends a little bit further into the jungle. So when you're trying to just farm lane as a mid laner and then quickly rotate to kill those harpies, you're going to have to go a little further. And you also got some really cool pathing here, like this rock we just walked past.
Yeah.
This gives you a good split on the entrance to your lane. It makes it much harder to ward.
Yeah, that too.
It gives the jungler some real power because if you try to put a ward that's going to show both sides, you're going to have very little warning. And if you try to give yourself more warning, it's always possible the jungler could find a way around your ward. So we were trying to make things overall a little bit more risky, a little bit more decision-making going into just rotating and killing these camps. We still expect people in lanes to rotate to like the nearest jungle, even if you're not a jungler, but we wanted to add a little bit more weight to that.
I will say, Christian, like that actually looks
I
like a harpy nest
pathing
now than what it
from
previously.
solo.
Right.
Yeah, it was weird. Actually,
long
if
path.
older players will remember that the old harpy camps also had nests and stuff with a little bit of bird eggs, but I don't think it was emphasized all that much. Because we added more islands to the jungles and stuff and a little bit more visual blocking, we needed to make sure that players were like, clarity that what camps are what. And so I don't know, if you notice, like for these camps, we added all these candles. There's nowhere placed nowhere else. There's not a lot of grass, and it's very rock cliff areas for these harpies. And so basically we wanted to give the harpies kind of their own identity, even if they are just for XP and stuff.
We did it for the jungle camps. It worked out really well. But then we're like, in the old map, the harpies were still just standing on like a pile of rocks. So now they have a home.
Well, we can head on to mid lane next then after that. And with the mid lane, I can see it's slightly curved in that mid lane.
Yeah, that's part of the symmetry, actually. So in order the way we wanted to make the jungle, we have to put a slight bend
that's pretty
in it.
cool. Holy shit.
I guess we could have made it straight. But
And the tower on the chaos side is switched sides there, right? Just to keep that symmetry.
yeah, so the map is symmetrical across the horizontal
all the
axis.
towers
So the
going
left
mid?
side and the right side of the mid lane are now have different fields, different entrances. So like that difficult to ward rock, that's on the fire giant side of mid lane.
Sure.
The other side's a little easier to ward. We don't have the geometry quite the same. So between left and right, you'll have
Yeah,
differences,
warding
but
this
not
is gonna
between
be
order and
AIDS.
chaos.
Cool. So
It's
there's
gonna
no
be
should
so
any
weird.
real advantage to an extent of having red buff versus red buff because it's
Definitely,
the same on the same side.
definitely
We're gonna have to do a
not.
ward guide 100%
But
for
mid
this
lane we
map.
have this nice symmetrical side between both sides, so we get rid of that, as well as the extra environment treatment. So you can even see from inside the lane, you can see that the harpies are harpies, right?
They took it.
Yeah,
they could shield
exactly.
the
So on
towers.
both sides, you can see that the rift even kind of goes up to the rocks and stuff, and it's kind of split in the middle, but we still needed to preserve that there's a wall there. But you could see the harpies' nests, all the twigs and stuff on the other side. So I don't. Hopefully, it's not confusing to anyone that it's harpies camp.
No, it looks great, and we're working on this rift still too. This is an update from people would have saw in the earlier videos in HRX. We're still trying to give this a little bit more of a. If you look closely, there's like faces and stuff morphing into it, which is really cool.
Oh yeah.
We're trying to give it kind of like a River Styx, like Souls field.
That's kind of cool.
Feeling. So we're still working on that, getting that to be to the final artistic point. But as far as thematically and for what the goals we're going for, we're feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people concerned about they can fall into it, and it's a very valid concern, and so we're still working on making it so that it's clear that you can't fall through it, but that it like lore and thematic, it still keeps that there's a big rift. Yeah, exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, one thing I can see is the jungle fog from here as well. We spoke about the jungle fog a little bit. AJ, explain a little bit more.
Okay, so jungle fog is something that was present in old Smite, something that players have been wanting to come back for a long time.
Yeah.
So we did quite a bit of work. It was a real big goal of ours from the very beginning we started on this map was to get this fog back. So here you have it back, and it looks really cool, and it adds combined with the pathing and the shorter line of sights and the more coverage over the top, it makes the jungle just feel more intimidating, more scary. So one thing I wanted to get into specifically, more gameplay instead of art, is the difference between fog and fog of war. I've been seeing these terms used a lot interchangeably. They are not the same thing.
Okay.
Fog of war is a concept in Smite and similar games where characters at a certain range are not visible. Even if they could be directly visible to you, they will fade away.
Sure.
That depends on enemy vision or allied vision or having a ward. So the fact that this Odin is going to disappear when we get too far away, that is fog of war.
Right.
The atmospheric jungle fog has nothing to do with that.
That's really
it's there.
far,
It's
though.
there to look nice. It's there to help convey about. You can see the fog gets a lot denser around the place they're fading out, but they are not the two same concepts.
Okay.
So people asking me questions like, if I place a ward, does the fog go away? No.
Sure. The
The
fog,
fog stays. If you alt up in the air, which we could probably do with this god, you can still see the fog all below you everywhere, it equally. And if you had ward vision or whatever there, it would still look like that. You would just have the better vision of your enemies through the highlighting and UI if you have actual vision than if you're just looking.
So basically what you're saying is we've always had fog of war in the game.
Correct.
We've just had an atmosphere of fog to the game
Right,
now.
and we are not changing the way fog of
Okay.
war works.
Cool.
And so Christian can probably speak a little bit more just about the fog itself artistically.
Yeah, I mean, that was when I remember, like, it was just strictly for visuals and stuff. And I remember when they were first talking about it, I said, you want to do what? And bringing all this fog in there. But, you know, because as an artist, I want you to see it all. But I do think we put a lot of work into it to make sure that you can still see a lot of the landmarks that we created. You can still see a lot of the art, but yet still convey the visually the characters going out of scene. And, you know, we worked a lot with tech to make sure that it runs well, that it's cheap on people's computers and stuff. And so we worked around that. And we still have a few more features that we can and want to add, but we want to see how players, you know, respond with this one.
The current one.
Yeah, and for performance reasons and stuff. So, you know, but I think it came out really great, and I think that it adds a lot to the jungle.
Well, let's head to that red buff, because I just saw we're nearby, and that's where we need to be in the jungle right about now. The red buff, any change to the red buff this year, AJ?
No. So no real balance changes, except all jungle camps and all lane minions are having some health and protections and scaling, all of that tweaked a bit. So you'll notice that. But this is the Manticore has returned. And as you see, we did some cool things where the buff holder has the wings and his little buddies do not. So, you know, the Manticore, he's a well-known character in Smite. People have loved him for a while, so we wanted to bring him back. And he seemed like a good, aggressive monster to be the guardian of the red buff camp.
And it fits kind of well in the area as well, Christian, with the bones of an elephant in the background.
This area, like the openness of the camps, is
What is
gonna
that?
be wild.
It's a dragon of some sort.
It looks dragon.
Well, that's the thing. We wanted something. So when we were coming up with all the different camps and stuff, we were thinking of this Manticore. This thing is just a gnarly beast and stuff. So we think that he would just like eat and just throw the bones away and stuff. So we just wanted this kind of really cool beast. And we were looking up some lore, and dragons are briefly mentioned in Greek mythology and stuff. So
they actually are.
And so we were like, let's kind of tie that in.
If it's mentioned in the lore, it's good to go. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, we try to really draw on lore on the whole map. So, you know, all of these creatures have Greek mythology, and the Titans and everything, and the locations are all trying to draw a little bit more from the lore than we had previously.
Let's have a look at the purple buff then as well, as we're on this side of the map near the duo lane now.
Oh, yeah.
What are they?
They are chimeras. So you've got a lion head, and a goat head, and a snake tail. And we thought this was a cool one to go kind of with the purple buff. And this actually does have a balance change. So the two buffs that have balance changes are purple and yellow.
Oh.
So yellow speed buff is taking down a little bit of percentage of speed.
Okay.
It's really powerful in the new map, so we're taking it from 20 down to 15. And this buff is also going to keep its flat production reduction, but it's also going to have a percentage-based added to it. So it's going to scale better into the late game. A lot of people were claiming
gonna be a lot
we've seen before that this buff was not as highly valued in the late game, so now it will be.
That makes sense. Okay.
For a lot more.
Not to mention, this is not Cerberus.
No, it's not.
He's only got 2 heads.
Yeah, I know. But everyone was like, oh, Cerberus is a camp or something like that.
It's not the same.
Not the same. So for visually, what we wanted to put for the chimeras is that it was kind of a twisted, gnarly creature, and it's got a lot of different facets. And so we were thinking, you know, it's purple, so a lot of people associate purple with kind of poison. So we got these kind of cool poisonous mushrooms all growing around these big roots that have torn apart this Greek architecture and stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's basically. And we wanted to make sure that all the corners and stuff that you would see, like these pillars just being ripped apart from this from the roots.
Oh, it looks great.
Yeah, I love it. I love the little suspended columns that are being held up by the roots.
Yeah, the roots are just left on there. Well, into the duo lane we should go then, as we're on this side of the map now. And duo lane, I can see, first of all, there seems to be extra entrances on this side this time.
Yeah, so we have a different configuration of rocks and entrances here. We have this rock in the center that is split on both sides. Previously, that was just a single entrance.
There are a lot of entrances.
This gives your jungler ganks a couple more options as far as how deep they want to be when they get into
but
that lane. If they
ward
really want to cut you off
over.
behind their tower, they can make that back exit, or if they want to come in right through the center,
that upper middle exit's going to be more useful.
You get some really interesting fighting going around here in the duo lane. And of course, this lane is still, the towers are further away than the other lanes.
Wait. Where's the crabs?
The crabs have fallen.
No.
No, well, listen.
The crabs are gone?
The crabs,
they are gone.
I think, might make an appearance.
They might make an appearance.
They better. Listen,
we have one like over there on the rock or something.
As a caster, we rely on them when the games are bad. Okay? We have no choice but to cast the crabs sometimes. And without those, we can't live.
And listen, the crab that flips the other crab, It's my favorite.
That's my favorite
My
too.
favorite.
It's a real. So we've got no crabs right now.
No crabs right now.
But you can see that's where the chasm, the whole divide has
Yes.
really started.
All the crabs.
And Christian's
fell
team
in.
did a really cool thing with the two sides of the map, where the kind of the
rip
long
crab.
lane side, the chasm is kind of below you, and everything's falling down and crumbling into the ocean. And on the other side, it's a little more mountains and rising up, so you get very different like elevation feel as you look outside each side of the map.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, so for clarity's sake, we wanted to be where no matter which direction you look, you could be like, okay, I don't see those cliffs and stuff that are rising up, so you know that which side it's going to be on. And also, we really just wanted to show the depth of this chasm and that it goes off infinitely into the abyss. And we wanted to have some really awesome waterfalls and just show kind of the destructive nature of this.
I can't imagine FPS is going to be
Absolutely amazing,
better.
the dual lane. Well,
for
Gold
this
Fury
patch.
is the next one up. We're coming to the end of the map slowly, guys. Don't worry. We've got
yeah.
plenty more to give you, but we
Well,
have to show the map in more
The map is
detail,
the
like-
biggest thing, so we
It's
got to
the
talk
most
about
Yeah, there's
the
a
map.
lot to it.
So here we go.
Let's start with Gold Fury first, because I did see those oracles behind you, but my oh my, does she look a little bit more regal and dangerous this time around?
Oh
Looking
yeah,
like
so
a
very
fury.
different art style and environment style for the Gold Fury. A lot more creepy, demonic, evil. We're basing it actually off the Greek Furies characters, which
Sure.
are actual characters, and they're known to be part demon, and they're from like a section of the underworld. So they're really not as much described as harpies, which we had before. So we were really excited to redesign that, and of course Chuck brought his badassness design into this one really, really well.
Really?
Lots of
I
And,
skulls.
see a lot of gold here.
Yeah, of course, and we wanted to put gold everywhere so you know which camp you're at. As far as balance changes go, we did do some slight tweaks to the Gold Fury stats and to the gold earned over time scaling. The big feature in the whole Season 5 map is that everything on the map is going to scale over time.
Okay.
So lane minions are going to be worth more in experience and gold over time. Jungle camps
Oh,
are going to be
wow.
worth more gold and experience over time. This gives us a lot more
Holy shit.
fine-tuning to do as far as the
That's
balance, the
crazy.
pacing, and the snowball factor. So what that allowed us to do was kind of slow down the early game a little bit and then ramp up into the mid and late game so that everything becomes a lot more important. It's working out really well in testing. I'm really excited for everybody to test that. But you know, the Gold Fury was kind of always known as the objective that scales, and
Yeah.
now you're going to feel that everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of our favorite spaces, I think, that we got to design. So, you know, when we were looking up the Gold Fury and stuff, and we wanted to give this kind of, like you said, like a different part of the underworld, and so we wanted to capture that where there's like all these little pits and stuff where the gold is coming out, and she's just kind of stored it in this building in the back that not sure where it leads to. But the idea is that she came forth from it and then just like continuously collected gold. And that statue in the back is kind of the idea that someone maybe worshipped this person, but wasn't sure what that Gold Fury looked like and stuff. So it's kind of like the human-esque version. It's a real slight nod to the Gold Fury, and behind it for the oracles, we have this actual like pit where the oracles come from. Kind of like it's
Wait,
it's
what?
it's
Oh,
one
you
of the
can't
few
walk
spaces
down
that we
there.
have like a space that goes down. Usually, most of the time we build up, but this was kind of a really interesting space.
That's really good. And there's the oracles for you guys as well. So it's still the same sort of thing as what oracles used
Yep,
to do?
you kill both of them, you get vision of the area. It'll move the ward towards the center of the area, so you can see the whole area
Okay.
when you kill them. But the same team has to secure both to get that
Just the
bonus.
same. Okay.
You can split them, and then neither people get the ward. And
They've got their own radius
they've
now.
got their own radius.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, putting them in the same radius we thought was kind of interesting, and it had some thematic things with them hanging out with the Gold Fury. But it was kind of confusing having two leash radiuses on top of each other, and we really wanted to fix that. So when we widened the jungle, we had a little more space. We just moved them over here across the way. So now you can see the ward just appeared on the mini map. So we'll be able to see this.
Looks amazing.
Yeah.
But we're on to the next bit then, which is to look at some of the towers, because there's some new tower art and tech involved to do with the lighting or something.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff like that. So both sides of the map have had completely redesigned towers.
Sure.
They're more different from each other
Oh,
now.
look at
So
the
now
light.
you see the Chaos Tower, and what's really cool here is the floor radiating the energy. That's only going to turn on when a god is being targeted.
Okay.
So when a bunch of minions are here, they will walk in and fight the tower and stuff like that. And see if Pawn can remember the commands.
There we
He's
go.
spawning old minions, but we talked about before. He's like, "What are they called now?" It's okay, Pawn. You're still the best. But you see that the floor didn't light up. Now you've got the laser radius to tell you you're being targeted, as well as you'll be able to see your team. Will be able to see when someone's being targeted as well.
Pristine looks like a dragon to me. Is they both the same, or is one different to the other in Order versus Chaos?
No, they're very different, and that was one of the things that we set up from the very beginning, that we wanted to make the towers extremely different and also thematic. So these were both concepted by Ramon Garcia, and that we wanted to have different. So like this one, the Chaos one has the dragon, the other one has a griffin, and this one's more. And also they have different color choices. So this is mostly. You know, the gray rock with the silver dragon on top, and the other one, which you'll see in a moment, is gold and marbles. So
the towers are quite different from each other. The whole theme of the map, the different sides are more different from each other artistically than they ever have.
Oh yeah, you can see that one clearly. A total different.
Right. Previously, you're in part of the Chaos side jungle. It just looks like slightly darker version,
the color
slightly
difference even
shadowed
on the
version.
map is
The Order
pretty
side
cool.
now it's very different. So we have the really clean marble and gold and blue trim here with the nice regal griffin up on top instead of the dragon.
And it's the only thing that you see in any part of the jungle that's this pure gold and stuff. That's the tie-in with the Olympus base.
Yeah.
And it's also just to, you know, for more visual clarity, it's like, all right, I understand that that's a tower. Because like right now in the current one, it's like he said, it's just mostly in shadow and just darker.
Well, onto the Phoenix as we go as well, and
Yeah.
Phoenix is a Phoenix.
Yeah, their new Phoenix is a very nice, new, pretty bird. We gave them a little bit more of a traditional Phoenix style. The last year's Conquests had a, very interesting art style, but a lot of people didn't think they looked as much like Phoenixes. They just looked like birds. So now we have a lot more like energy and power in their whole material, whole texture. And we've also got some interesting tech to go along with them. So if you kill them now, the pedestal closes up, and you can see the fuse.
The light.
Keep going. We're gonna break out the and we saw a fuse go to the Titan space.
Right,
They kind of
and that'll break
connected
the
it, and then he
crystal.
broke out of his crystal.
That's kind of cool. So the
To show
crystal
that
will be
he's
there
the-
until the Phoenix is dead.
To remind
Wait,
you
does he
now that you have to kill the
recrystallize
Phoenix
if they all
before you can
respawn?
kill the Titan.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because sometimes you get in the heat of battle and you really
That
just run right past the Phoenix and you start shooting the Titan. You're like, wait, it's not taking any damage, but it looks normal and it's fighting you and stuff like that. Now it's going to break out and stuff, and you're going to see a lot of extra feedback.
Well, we are in the Titan base right now, so we might as well have a little look around to see how. So the Chaos base, I don't know, so Titan. The Chaos base, we should have a little look around and see exactly what the idea behind this was.
Yeah, so we basically wanted to have it's rocky forms, but there's also architecture built into it. Basically, the idea is that Tartarus is not just a natural landmass, but also like a very constructed space. And so you can see like the pillars and stuff, and we wanted to make sure that that it was just a cool looking space, and we wanted to have it very a lot of sharp angles and very aggressive looking, but not dreary, which is what I think the current Conquest has. I think we wanted to create a space that was like, oh, this is really cool, I want to be in it, and fight for the
I don't know,
Ragnarok Tartarus
Kilios.
side.
That's what
Of
I'm
course,
wondering.
and we
Will
have
the
the
Titan
really
move
cool
out of the
like
frozen
giant
throne
Hades'
thing?
kingdom in the background,
Yeah.
which looks awesome. And I love the effects and environment you guys did on the light and that like swirling clouds. Really cool. And you can see the bridge going all the way back. We stopped there and looked at that. And then, of course, we have the Titan himself, who is a very new style. He's a lot more different from the other Titans. He's kind of based loosely on
Beating
the
your
character
ass.
Kronos, the original like bad guy Titan who led the Titans in a war against the gods and was locked away in the underworld. So what happens when the underworld comes up to the surface?
He's going to come back.
He
Yep.
gets released. Yeah,
makes
of
a lot of
course. So
Still
he's
two
a big
things.
scary guy.
We've got two things quickly still to show you in this map. The Pyromancer and the Fire Giant we haven't covered just yet. So
Oh yeah.
quickly skim back there. As quick as you can, pom-pom. Chop, chop.
Fly away.
He's got it. He's got the hacks.
Ooh.
Was there an eye in there? I think he broke it. Yeah. Rip
Chop,
on.
chop. There we go.
Book it.
Can't even game shark
Speed and
properly.
free. Let's start with the Pyromancer first, I guess, is the easiest one. New buff.
Ooh.
Yeah,
New
so this
objective.
replaces the Portal Demon. A lot of design changes here.
Look at
So
that
we have
mask,
a
though.
objective. We really liked having this new objective. That was really fun throughout Season 4, but we wanted to give it a little bit more ability to fine-tune. So instead of when you kill this, instead of getting a portal, you will not get a portal. Instead, you will get a buff that translates back to your base. You'll see a fireball fly across the map and go to your base.
Okay.
And what that does is it'll buff your base to the point where when anyone leaves the base, you will get a movement speed buff.
Oh, so kind of like old Swiftwing.
Yeah, so kind of like you give your whole team Swiftwing buff. And what's cool about that is we can give the players a lot more flexibility in how they apply the buff. So now you don't have to go right back to Fire Giant. You can use this buff to rotate to other parts of the map. You can use it to defend your towers.
If you're dead and your team gets the buff, will you still get the buff when you spawn?
It only triggers when you walk out of the base.
Cool,
So
so
the
even
buff,
if you don't get it.
yeah, you can come back anytime and still use that. And it also gives the designers, it gives us a little bit more things to work with throughout the year. So if we think the buff is too strong, it's too weak, we can increase its duration or its speed amount, whereas the portal, we really only had like duration.
That makes
We
sense.
had one number to tweak. Now we have a lot more.
Okay. Christian, obviously on design of this, I guess you got a bit more free reign of like, we're putting a buff in that's going to do this. What do you want to do with it?
Yeah, I mean, well, just for this whole area in general. I mean, when we talked about doing like we're playing Battleground of the Gods, we were talking about like, do we introduce any sort of other Pantheons and stuff? And then when we were talking about Ragnarok, you know, we thought, oh, this would be great to get the Celtic in there and stuff. So you can see some like Norse. But you can definitely see, you know, there's like all these like Norse columns and stuff, and we got these cool runes that hover in the back around the volcano and stuff, and then this cool like the wooden dragons and stuff, and you know, with the Pyromancer and stuff. I don't know if you can tell what's in there in the back, but that's the old giants.
Rest in peace, old giant.
Rest in peace. A little Easter egg there.
Nice little shout out to him.
His chains are broken, but he's gone.
Freebie.
He's melted.
Yeah, but the idea is like, you know, maybe the Pyromancer took it out, but
impressive.
We kind of thought about the Ragnarok and how it relates to the whole story, right? Ragnarok is happening. This is our core story. Hel and Fenrir, they got this whole thing started. They're ending the world. Lots of people are dying. That's a global event. So that global event is what's killing a lot of mortals. That's what's powering up Hades to bring up his underworld. But it's also Ragnarok. There's fire raining, and there's parts of Ragnarok happening everywhere. That's why there's a Norse character on the Greek map. The fire giant, he came from Ragnarok. He crash lands into Greece, and he's here to cause some mayhem.
Wreak havoc. Well, I don't want to go into too many details about what he's going to do here, but he does have some new things added to him.
He does have some new attacks. So he still has his Rift, our old favorite.
Don't show it all, pom-pom.
Hard to dodge Rift.
We can see it in the playtest later.
But then he also has a new attack where he summons a bunch of orbs in the air, and then they fire, and what they do is they split up between the number of targets. So if you try to solo him, that attack hurts really bad. If your whole team is there, you're good. Oh, this is how he spawns in. There's a big fireball that comes down.
Oh, really? He just fires in like a fireball? That's dope.
Well, imagine him not there right now.
Right, and then this will
Pon's cheating, so he'll crash in like that, and then he'll show up.
Awesome. So you can actually see that.
Now there's two.
Can you see that across the map? Say in your lane, you can look across and see this star slowly come down.
Yep.
It's not a star.
And he'll also have another new attack where he lights his whole leash radius on fire, and if you try to cross in or out of it, you're gonna have a damage over time applied to you. So yeah, the lore impact is really the most important thing here.
Okay, this is pretty awesome.
And then, of course, we have a couple design tweaks. So all in all,
that's dope.
This map looks amazing. Any final thoughts before we move on from the map?
I mean, I think we covered everything. We're going today. We're trying to go a little quicker, a little more general instead of reading every number. There is a lot of number changes in this map, an absolutely staggering amount. To
make you guys clear as well, the full patch notes with all those number tweaks will be available for you. I am not manually reading through every single number change of experience.
You can't even process
changes.
It. Not enough pages.
But they all will be released after the patch notes for you guys to look at through at home and then debate over whether this number should be higher, lower, or exactly where it is right now.
I would really encourage everybody, because of the new scaling, to wait and play. There's a lot of things. It's much harder to just calculate things in your head. But the main goals of this map were, of course, to take the art to the new level, which Christian and his team and the character teams did an amazing job. And the other thing was we wanted to just affect the core pacing of Smite.
Okay.
And through those kind of changes to balance of golden XP and how they earn over time, and making a couple tweaks across the map, jungle camp speed. We also made an adjustment to minion behavior. They're going to focus towers now instead of enemy minions when they're in the same area. A couple changes like that to help the map feel more like things are happening over time gradually, as opposed to like one big team fight that decides the whole game.
Awesome. Okay, that's it for map. It's time to move on to items. Before we do, Christian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's have a quick flyover of that map one last time for you guys if you've just been tuning in to get a nice little feel. You've seen this video before, but take a quick look. Welcome back to the showcase, and now
Alright,
we're
that was
joined
2
by
seconds.
the illustrious Pompan. How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Are you ready for this?
Been pretty crazy, but yeah, I'm ready.
Cool. Well, now it's time to go through some of the changes to the game in terms of itemization and god balance too. But I'm going to point out right now, before we get into this, we will not be going through every single little detail of numbers. If some things have gone up by like 10 health or 100 health or something, those will all be available in the full patch notes after the show, but we will be focusing on today any new items that are coming out and any big adjustments to items that have seen play previously. Is that correct?
Yep.
Awesome.
We're also going to change up the order a little bit. We're going to go in categories.
Yeah. Well,
so we're not just going to list everything alphabetically.
We're going to start with starter items here, and the first thing to say is there's all the starter items you know and love are gone.
Yes.
That is the truth. This is a big
did get
change.
rid of
We
starter
wanted to
items.
really look at starter items
All the
in
500
general.
ones, all the 800 ones, they're all gone.
So
Wait,
all
they're
masks
changing them?
and starter items currently in the game have been removed from the game.
And as you can see at the bottom of your screen, welcome to Blessings. What are Blessings?
Blessings are a new type of starter item that focus more on class role specific goals.
Okay.
They have mostly they work like starter items, but they have some slight new rules involved in them. So you'll only be able to buy one blessing per match. You can't buy up multiple. Once you buy it, you're locked into that one for the whole match.
Okay.
They're also going to all have some sort of stacking component that's going to evolve and get you better skills later in the game.
Oh, so kind of like Lonos mixed with
This
Lonos
is
Rangdars, but mixed with a star item
super
like a
casual,
Yeah,
mate.
so we're
Like,
looking
it's
to kind of
super casual,
encourage
but I
support
like it.
players to be around and get assists to get a huge boost of gold and kind of like showed them how to play the support a bit.
Okay.
These items are kind of tuned to do that.
All right. Well, I guess the best way to really do this, they're going to evolve over time too. We should probably just start off with going through one of the blessings to begin
Yeah,
with.
let's look at one. So
Assassin's Blessing is the first one on here. I guess it's aimed towards assassins, but it's not forced onto every single, just because it says assassin doesn't mean you can only pick it if you're an assassin.
exactly. So what we're doing here with blessings, first of all, is there's going to be conquest ones and non-conquest ones.
Right.
So 5 of them will be unique to conquest. They'll only be available on conquest. Every other game mode will have the other ones and none of the conquest ones. There's no overlap.
Oh,
Gotcha.
wow, that's
so we
pretty
start
cool.
with Conquest Assassin's Blessing.
Right, so we're looking at Conquest Assassin's Blessing. Assassin's Blessing, we use the terminology with the classes to kind of think about what gods these pair with. For newer players, they'll be able
does
to
that
know
mean
they're playing
Guardians
assassin. I
can't
can probably get this one, and
buy
then they can read
Bumbas?
the item text, kind of loosely guide them through the map and what to do.
Okay.
But it's also kind of think of it in
It's
kind
a
of a
guide.
flavor sense. Like, so you can buy any blessing on any god. So if you choose to play like a guardian
Just like
with
an
Assassin's
idea.
Blessing, it's almost as if an assassin kind of gave you their
Their blessing.
buff, their stats, their blessing. Here's something that I normally do, but you're picking this up, so you can now enjoy these too. So
Okay.
any god can buy any blessing in
Now-
any combination.
At the bottom, you can see it says gains 35% bonus damage versus jungle monsters. How much are blessings, first of all, I guess? We should, 'cause
They're 700 gold.
they're all 700
All
gold.
of them are 700 gold.
700 gold. Is there any particular reason we went 700? Or?
It was just kind of the price point that made the most sense. If you made them a bit too cheap, it gave people some power spikes. If you made them too expensive, it made it so that other tier starts were a bit more efficient than this.
Okay.
So you want this to be something that a lot of players can pick up. It's good to pick up, but it's not the automatic right choice.
Do you have a
If
mic
have
for
really
me?
high
Yeah,
level
I'm
strength
talking right
involved,
to
you maybe
Ajax.
wanted to go like a tier 2 item really early first. You can still make that work without being forced into this blessing.
Okay.
This price point works really well with buying other tier 1 items and then still having room for a little bit of potions too.
Sure. Okay, and there's other changes as well to some of the other stuff that's starting off, so we'll
Yep.
get to that later on.
Oh yeah.
Assassin's Blessing, first of all, it's 700 gold, 35% bonus damage to jungle monsters, 7% health restored on killing a jungle monster, and 20 mana restored on killing a jungle monster. And the role quest, this is the evolution. Of
Right.
this item. They're going to be called role quests.
Every blessing will have a role quest with this new subtitle to support that role. So role quest jungler, and you'll have to kill jungle camps to gain stacks to power up your blessing.
Okay, and as you can see, by the kill or assist jungle monsters or enemy gods, jungle monsters are worth 1 stack and enemy gods worth 5 stacks. At
Okay.
50 stacks, this item evolves to give you plus 10 penetration.
Yeah.
Something that assassins love.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
so they
And
want-
it also works
they
off
want
if
early,
you're a heavy
mid-game
ganking
pen.
jungler, you can actually get ganks and get stacks. Or if you're just a heavy kind of farm jungler, you want to clear camps and go towards the mid-late game, you can just farm your camps and get your stacks as
So
well.
work both ways. Now this one feels very jungle focused because it's
Mhm.
This
jungle
is a
monsters. that
sick
does
ass
bonus damage
change
too.
to
And that's what a lot of
Bumbas,
these are.
which
They are
isn't
going to be very
Bumbas
focused
anymore.
to kind of like a role.
Assassin's Blessing,
that makes
new
sense. But
starter
there's
item
no
for the
harm
junglers.
in like Kabrakan jungle if those
Yeah.
come about picking up that item to do more bonus damage. So.
Of course, and we might see people picking up this jungler blessing on non-jungle gods too, but the other blessings are pretty attractive, and you can only buy one. So if you're gonna do that, you can't buy Bumbas and Soulstone or something and be a mid lane pseudo jungler,
I
you're
know.
going to have to lock yourself in. And
If-
if you go for the Assassin's
you
Blessing,
can't
you're
really
going to be
go
foregoing the
bumble
Mage's
something else
Blessing,
anymore.
which is pretty strong too. So it's going to be a lot more firm decision making as far as which one you go, but also more flexibility in that all gods can buy all of them, so you can do some pretty interesting combinations.
So that's the Assassin's one. We'll go on to the Guardian's one next. The Guardian's Blessing is 700 gold. It's going to give you 100 health, 5 physical protection, and 5 magical protection. And whenever a minion whenever you assist with a minion, you'll get 7 HP and mana restored. Also, it's got 3 gold per lane minion assisted on this as well. And the
Okay.
role quest is the last thing to add here. Assist with lane minion kills to gain stacks. Each assist is worth 1 stack. At 50 stacks, this item evolves and gives you more gold per 5, 3 gold per 5. So
Yep.
Wow.
that technically, once it's evolved, it's 6. So you get 3 gold per 5 plus minions are still giving you 3 gold.
Yep, and
as
this
well.
all triggers off just assist. So the more supporty role where you're not necessarily taking last hits or farm from your hunter.
Yep.
This is more the support role where you're focused on getting the assist for these kills.
You can see this one's really powerful too. You can
Sure.
only power it up off assisting, so that's pretty hard to do on the new map. You got to be hanging out with people
It's
in
very
lane.
support. It makes you want to play
Right.
support.
But it's also going to give you gold over time. So Lonos gave you just 1 bonus, and that's going to give you gold over time. So it really help the supports stay in the match, even as it goes long.
Well, next up, Hunter's Blessing is the next one. And can you imagine where you're going to be in this role? The Hunter's Blessing,
Yeah, right?
700
Whatever will
gold.
it do?
and it's going to have 15 basic attack damage and 5 MP5 on this head base.
Mhm.
And then it comes with the role quest for carry, because obviously it's not just hunters that will pick this up. Some like Freya Sol could look
It's-
You
really
could do
very-
Vulcan ADC if you really wanted to.
Okay, well, Snoopy is maybe in the SPL next year. We'll find out. Role quest carry. Kill or assist lane minions or enemy gods to gain stacks. Lane minions are worth 1 stack and enemy gods are worth 5 stacks. At 75 stacks, Hunter's Blessing evolves, gaining 15% attack speed and an additional 15 bonus basic attack damage. Basic attack damage. That's
Yes.
not just
It won't.
damage.
It won't work off your abilities. It'll just add to your. It's like the old purple buff where it gave you a bit of basic attack damage.
Yep.
It works into your crits. It works into your basic attacks. It does not work into like Neath's one.
Okay.
It's kind of a new stat that we haven't really used before, but it's important to the game. You get more bonus for just characters want to use auto attacks. So this is actually really strong on like Soul and Chronos. We've seen even in testing. It's very good.
So that's the Hunter's Blessing. We'll move on then
Mhm.
to the Mage's Blessing. Mage's Blessing, 700 gold again. 30 bonus ability damage. So that's not going to empower your auto attacks. right?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. 3 MP5 per 10% missing mana. And the role quest is kill or assist lane minions or enemy gods to gain stacks. So kill or assist. Okay.
Yep.
Stacks are worth 1 stack and enemy gods are worth 5 stacks. Sorry, minions are worth 1 stack, enemy gods are worth 5 stacks. At 75 stacks, it evolves to give you 10% CDR.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
So very similar role quest as the Hunters. You know,
Mhm.
kill things in lane, which is good. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
You want to farm up, get powerful, and then if you do that successfully, you're going to get CDR here, whereas you get more attack speed
So
and
essentially, they combine
basic attack damage on the Hunter.
like your
Yes,
base
it's a very clear line
starter
between
items
the basic
with
attackers and the
the
abilities.
potential of
realistically,
the
I mean,
other
that Mage's
starter
Blessing, this is why I
items.
keep bringing this up. 'cause
Like
like
Sands
Neath,
of
for
Time,
example, or Chiron, they can be ability-based focused, so they could go for
Soulstone,
this to
stuff
get
like that.
better
It's
clear,
quite good on them.
and
Yeah.
then get 10% CDR, but then you're not going to get the auto attack damage.
Sure.
Right.
Okay. Last but not least are the Conquest Blessings. There is other blessings we will get to in a moment, but it's the Warrior's Blessing. Would you believe it's 700 gold?
Mm-hmm.
It gives you 50 health, plus 3 reduction to all damage
Vanguard.
taken. Is that from all sources, basically?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a mini Mark of the Vanguard.
Okay. And you get plus 40 health. 40 of your health is restored upon dealing damage to an enemy god with a 10-second internal cooldown.
That's kind of the theme of this blessing.
Interesting.
Sure. So go be aggressive.
The role quest is the same trigger.
Okay.
All right, then. The role quest is for
40
you guys,
health. That's
dealing
weird.
damage to an enemy, God provides 1 stack. This effect can only occur once every 10 seconds. Getting a killer assist on an enemy, God provides 5 stacks. At 15
Mike
stacks,
confirmed.
Warrior's Blessing evolves, gaining 10 physical and magical protection. Okay, so you start off aggressive warrior, and then it transitions into, now I get a bit more tankiness if I do this.
Yeah, the really cool thing about this one is it encourages this
Okay.
constant poke, which oftentimes the solo
That
lane is
sounds
doing
really
the
good.
most. So because you're always in the minion lane, mixed up with
Yep.
your opponent, just kind of swinging on each other. And whoever manages this the best, every 10 seconds, really want to get a poke, get a poke, get a poke, get ahead in
Or
that
get a
heal,
kill.
or get a kill, of course.
Well,
Put
stacks,
you in ahead on the stacks and the heal trigger, and you'll be able to evolve your blessing sooner and get that little spike of tankiness.
Okay, that looks awesome. We'll
This
see.
works pretty well on guardians and stuff too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, you can use this in a couple roles really effectively.
I think as a guardian, you could definitely do it, especially if someone like getting Kobrakan as a supportive role, like you can do quite a lot with that.
Yeah, you can go for it, be really aggressive, and get kind of rewarded for it.
Yeah, works out well. Time to move on quickly to the non-conquest blessings for you all. We're going to start off with the Attacker's Blessing.
Mhm.
This will also be 700 gold. It'll give you 20 physical power, 25 magical power, and the role quest is damage. Damage lane
just deal
minions
damage.
and enemy gods to gain stacks. Dealing 100 damage to a lane minions provides 1 stack. Dealing 100 damage to enemy gods provides 3 stacks. And at 50 stacks, Attacker's Blessing evolves to give 10 penetration.
Yep.
So if you're an aggressive character, you just poke for damage. You get
That's
rewarded for
different.
poking for damage.
That's the attacker one. Next one, if there's attack, there's going to be defense, and that's what we're up to next. Defender's Blessing, 700 gold, 100 health, 10 physical protection, 10 magical protection, and the quest is tank. Mitigate damage to gain stacks. Mitigating 50 damage
Alright.
provides 1 stack,
Mhm.
and at 50 stacks, Defender's Blessing evolves, gaining 100 health and mana.
I
Yeah, so
wonder
this
if
is an
taking
interesting trigger
damage
'cause it's off
from
damage
jungle
mitigation,
camps
which
makes the
we
stacks
don't
go up.
we track as a stat, but we don't really trigger too much off of it. And so now you have to be a tank, you have to be forward, you have to be tanking shots for your team, but you also want to stay alive because if you're dead, you're no longer mitigating anything anymore. So it's kind of an interesting trigger where you have to play this tank role very effectively to actually get the stack
Be
up.
tanky, take damage, get more health to take more damage.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Makes a lot of
Mhm.
sense. Specialist's Blessing is the last, but well, and the least. Well, not necessarily the least.
I would not say
Ah,
that.
that
This one I
sounds
think
cool.
is
I've not
actually
looked
has
at
the
it yet.
most widespread application.
700 gold, shockingly enough, 10 MP5 and 10% cooldown reduction as standard. And the quest is damage enemies or heal allies to gain stacks. Each time an enemy is damaged or an ally god is healed by your abilities, gain 1 stack. Each ability can only trigger up to 3 stacks. And at 50 stacks, Specialist Blessing
What?
evolves, getting
Movement
10%
speed?
movement speed. Ooh, movement
Yeah,
Okay.
movement speed and
This
CDR are
is
really
so
versatile. So you can pick this
weird.
up on a tank, you can pick this up on a hunter. It can really go either way.
Okay, cool. So
These
that's it for the
items are
blessing
awesome,
section.
but
That's
weird.
it for our starter items. Those will be your new options. Rest in Peace, Soulstone, and Death's Toll, and all those guys. We'll see you later.
Well,
The
some of
soul's
them are going to
dead.
come back.
That's
a little
true.
Bit later.
What,
Yeah.
what- I was really excited about mannequins. What happened to that?
A lot of the cool passives from starters, we're like reinterpreting, reimagining, powering up, and applying to different tier 3 items, actually.
Oh, actually, in this patch.
In this patch.
Okay, well, we'll get
So
to
a lot
those.
of them will be gone, but not forgotten.
Well, it's time to get onto the other items and stuff now. But before I do, I'm just going to reiterate one more time. We are not going through every freaking number, okay? I have done a 4-hour patch up before. I have sweated to high heaven before.
We know not to do that.
We're not going to go that deep. So what we are going to do is we will release the full patch after with all the little small ups and downs and changes. But so what we've done to make this easy is present you guys with a nice little graph, first of all, or a graphic, I should say, to explain some of the changes that are happening that we're not going to go too much in detail about, and they'll get explained.
Thank you guys for all the subs, by the way.
So, without
I
further ado,
will
let's have a
shout you
look
out
at
after the patches.
Graphic.
nerfs and adjustments that are going to be available. I'm going to read from the top so you can all see. Demonic Grip buffs are Demonic Grip, Sovereignty, Heartward Amulet, Iqval.
Oh, the
Atlantis Bow,
Transcendence buff is
Transcendence,
nasty.
Bancroft's Talon, Divine Ruin,
Nasty.
Soul Reaver, and Chalice of the Oracle. Actual nerfs will be to Warrior Tabby and Ninja Tabby, and the Aegis Amulet in the Relic
All
section.
right, the nerf boots.
And all those items at the bottom
We're
are
gonna
getting adjusted.
we're gonna go over a lot of those too
Yeah.
because they've been
Now-
redesigned or heavily
I was gonna say,
changed and
these-
stuff like that.
If we don't read
Bro.
out any of these items, it means they've had small
the
adjustments
changes.
to them in terms of a nerf,
Interested
a
in the
buff, or an
changes.
adjustment. But we're
Right.
going to go into detail about some of these items because they've had big changes to them potentially.
Yeah, and we're gonna go through in categories. So first we did starters.
We did.
Next we're gonna move on to mage
It's
items,
mage time.
and then we'll do into some anti-tank items, some
Yeah,
movement speed
crossbow.
items, and redesigned items.
Anti-tank items? Are we against tanks now? Is
We
that...
one step at a time. One
Okay.
step at a
We'll
time.
get there.
Versus mages. Versus
Okay.
mages.
I saw that Loki buff. I had a feeling that was to do with that too.
Well,
Yeah.
that's on. We'll get there too.
Right.
All in good time.
Let's start off then with mages, and we're going to start off with magical items. I'm going to begin with Rod of Tahuti. Rod of Tahuti's taken a lot of changes here, guys.
This is a big change.
Yeah, it changes kind of the whole mage class with this single item.
Decrease
It's
300
because
gold
of the
cost,
passive
but
increase.
more
As you can see on the
mana.
screen right now, we're going to be decreasing the cost to
What?
3,000 gold, increasing the magical power from 125 to 150. But it's more to do with the passive is the reason we're going to discuss this more. The new passive
Yes.
is gain 25% additional magical power against targets below 50% health. So the old passive is gone.
Yes.
Yeah, the old passive is essentially now a conditional trigger, assuming the target's low.
Okay, what's
So,
the reasons for this?
The big one is mages were kind of forced to build a whole bunch of magical power because when you have an item that's so good as Rod of Tahuti that boosts your magical power by you having more of it, it makes it so that there's really only
So it's
single
only
choices.
if
We saw
they're
a lot of
low
mages
you
actually
get
go
more
with those.
power.
When Doom War became a bit more
Instead
effective,
of
it
the
was Doom
25%
War.
at all
When people
times.
could stack rocks, actually get a good amount of power. And you were just looking for these high power items,
Alright.
and there was a lot of really interesting other mage items that just couldn't really see play because you were always building towards this Rod Hootie.
You had to get to Hootie.
It constrained mage builds, and it constrained the whole mage class. You really had to just build power on top of long range DPS mages AoE. That was it. That was really forced in many ways, and it was encouraged by the game because you're going to get this huge power spike by just building that way. So with the new change, you're not going to get this big bonus of power just playing off power. Is it going to be more conditional? You're going to see. We're hoping to see, and we have been seeing in playtesting, you're going to see a lot of different mage builds. You're going to see ones that are more lifesteal focused, ones that are more cooldown and utility, ones with a little bit of tankiness like warlocks. Those items are all going to become better relatively because power won't be the only option.
Okay.
As well as you're going to see mages of different play styles, like the tankier ones like Zhonghui, or the ADC mages like Sol or Chronos going to come back also because they don't need to just build these big AoE damaging abilities with more power. All of these options are going to be much more open, much more balanced across the board.
Yep.
And the final thing is that mages had a very strange kind of power spike counter back and forth where whenever you got Rod, you jumped way up in power, right?
Yeah.
Normally you scale over the game, every god, every class, every other type, you kind of get these incremental advantages. Mages was like little bit massive.
Right.
And if I happen to build my Rod a couple minutes, like let's say we're both building him fourth item, me versus Pon. I get mine first. Pon just like can't even fight until he goes and finishes that. And it's not fun. People come around a corner and you're like, oh, I didn't know he bought Rod, and now I'm just dead. Okay. So now things are going to be a little more smooth. There's going to be a lot more counterplay and a lot more flexibility and choice options.
Okay, so let's run it to Hootie. Now, obviously, all of the mage items have been adjusted to
Rod might
be
more god
because obviously
now, or just team comp
downshift for mages overall. If
that's why we have the section, the mage item section that goes on for a bit.
So we're going to buff a lot of other mage items to kind of compensate for that power loss.
Well, let's start with Doom-Mob then, because that was Rod to Hootie. Doom-Mob's the next one up. I'm going to read off the text version. You guys can tell me all about it. Decrease the cost from 2050 to 1700 gold. Increase the MP5 from 10 to 20. And a new passive, assisting an enemy minion provides you with one stack. Sorry, killing or getting an assist on an enemy minion provides you one stack of Doom, granting you 1% movement speed and 3 power per stack. Lasts 15 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. Enemy gods provide 5 stacks. So it's not the old Doom-Mob of get 40 stacks and get all this power and mono regen. It's now a consistent keep doing this to get this.
Yeah, this is more of a lane boxing mage bridge item now. Traditional kind of bridge item with a high power payoff at the price point, but it's going to drop off late game compared to tier 3 items. It also encourages a lot more playing around your lane and fighting each other and fighting your opponent in between waves.
They want to do more to go back to where it was.
Camps as you play.
A good early game.
We really like this style because previous Doom-Mob was he was either completely snowbally or complete garbage. And that was way too binary. We even saw this at like HRX when the teams that were building Doom-Mob been doing well, though that was winning a lot. And it was really outclassing the other mage stacking items. It was Book of Thoth. I don't even know if it made an appearance, which was crazy. That was a really highly valued item. Warlock Sash mages were definitely struggling. So we wanted to kind of completely shift Doom-Mob to something that's more widely applicable and something that's going to encourage this kind of pacing changes and healthier fighting at consistent paces throughout the game, as opposed to just big power spiking payoffs, single game wins, right?
Yeah, by buying this, you're really changing your playstyle up. You're playing kind of like old Poseidon did, where he had his movement speed, where you just stack up beef really fast and
run
roam.
real quick.
And especially on the new map, movement speed is something that's pretty valuable. So having this kind of interesting playstyle shift based off you building this item is really interesting.
Okay, well that's Doom-Mob. We'll move on now to Telkind's Ring.
This one's exciting.
We'll read over this again. It's going to go up in cost. I'm sorry, from 2,400 gold to 2,800 gold, so a 400 gold increase. We've added 20 attack speed to this item. And not only that, it's got a new passive. Your basic attacks deal bonus damage of 10 plus 5% of your magical power. This effect does not hit structures, however. So it's very much focused on killing gods and minions.
This has become the new mage ADC luxury item.
Okay.
So, we had old Telkinds that had a flat component. We always kind of had a tough time kind of figuring out why that was useful. We knew it was fun to people because you could build like Sylvanas ADC. It was kind of strange, but it wasn't really good. But when we were looking at, making all types of mages viable, we needed the mage ADC needed another item to really empower that style. And adding that scaling component, now they get additional actual scaling on their basic attacks from this item, which is just really strong.
Yeah, a lot of their items previously were focused either around like increasing their ability damage, or they just kind of had to go those builds because going Rod Hootie at the end was the best choice. And so now that that's changed, we actually added this item that really, really focuses on the basic attack component.
Hunter's Blessing, Sylvanas, Telkind's Ring.
It's probably viable, honestly.
His base attack's so low.
Yeah,
It's
but
like-
it's
it's 0.88.
AoE.
But yeah, it's AoE.
It's
There's
AoE.
Telkine's on the
Well,
mages.
Telkine's great.
Pod will jungle that. Pod will
I'll
jungle.
try it.
Could be
We'll try it.
fun.
Maybe today.
Like, a
Book
lot
of
of
the
fun.
Dead is the next item on this list to be looked at, and you saw it on the buff and nerf
Item
trees.
hasn't moved from
This
trinket
item
tree
has
to the
been
book
moved
tree.
from the trinket tree to the
Makes
book
sense.
tree, first of all.
Because it's a book.
It hasn't. Well, I mean, yeah.
They're gonna remove life.
Small
steal off of
aside,
it.
now the
Maybe.
tree with soul reliquary
Yeah.
is now all books.
Okay.
So we have a tier 1 book, we
So
have a
Book
tier
of
2,
Thoth,
tier
Book of the
tier
Dead,
2 book, and then
Soul
we have
Reliquary.
Book of
Tier
the
book
Thoth,
two?
Book of Thoth, Book of the Dead, Polynomicon.
I'm gonna make
and
new guides
Talking
for
about
everything.
we moved it over there to the books.
Everything.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
and
there's
Soul
one more.
Reaver, Soul
Yeah.
Reaver. So now you have a full book tree that is actually thematically making sense, build off items that you actually know what they are, as opposed to a reliquary.
Can
which
we
I
just
don't know
have?
what that
Can
is.
we put Book of in front of it? Book of Polynomicon. Book of. Yeah.
Book of Thoth,
Soul-
Book of the Dead.
Book of Soul.
But Soul
Reaver.
Reaver, yeah, I mean, we could.
Just because it makes sense, then.
Book.
Book of.
So you can
Book
go to the
of
library
Reaver?
now as a mage.
Yep.
So Book of the Dead. Items moved to the tiny trinket. So
Oh
to
yeah,
the trinket
soul
tree.
with
It's got a new
Telkine's.
icon.
Mhm.
We've decreased the cost from 2,800 to 2,600. We've removed 20% magical lifesteal on this item. We've added 200 mana to this item.
Theme of that tree is mana and power.
And the new passive is if you drop below 50% health, or HP I should say, you gain a shield equal to 25% of your current mana. Shield lasts 6 seconds. This effect can only occur once every 90 seconds.
Yeah, so we loved the shield passive with Book of the Dead. It was really fun. It was really interesting, but it was very out of combat. It was very farming based.
Right.
So we were like, let's bring in the in combat,
Yeah.
as well as let's bring in the mana synergy. So you get
Okay.
some really cool options with building a lot of mana on this item.
So that's Book of the Dead. We'll move on next to Soul Gem. We've got a lot to go through now, and we're an hour in already. I
Yeah.
predicted.
Are we really?
I predicted.
we're
an
an
hour.
hour.
Wow,
and
that's a
30, and I
fast
think we're
hour.
looking
It feels like
forward
we've
to
only been
this.
on camera for like 15 minutes.
It
All right,
goes
we'll go
quick.
faster.
So,
Go.
Soul Gem, next up.
Oh, Smite's gonna be fun,
2,300
dude.
gold for Soul Gem, 65 magical power, 150 health, 12% magical lifesteal, 10% CDR. New passive, every time you hit an enemy with an ability or basic attack, you gain 1 stack. At 5 stacks, your next ability will deal bonus damage equal to 25% of your magical power and will heal yourself and allies within 30 units
This
of
is
you
an increased
for
soul stone.
25% of your magic. Wait,
The heal is weird.
So-
what?
even if I'm not a healer,
Yes.
You can heal.
I can heal
You'll
my team.
heal your
Yes.
team.
Yeah, remember how we
Okay.
talked about
Fuck.
bringing some stars back and amping them up a bit?
Yeah.
This is what we mean.
Yep.
Okay.
It's has a really interesting effect, especially if you're already kind of a healer that can spam a whole bunch of abilities like Chong
Then
off.
you get another one.
You're gonna be able to heal more.
It's pretty hype.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
All right. That's Soul Gem.
You thought that was hype. Wait for this one.
All right. Typhon's. Is it Typhon's
What
Fang?
is
Typhon's
this?
Fang.
Typhon's Fang.
Python's
2,800
Fang.
gold. This is a new item.
That's a lot of power.
100 magical power. 200 mana. 15% magical
Dude,
lifesteal.
Kukulkan
And the
return.
passive. Your magical lifesteal from items is increased by 50%. Your magical power is increased by the 100% of a magical lifesteal you have.
Yes.
Yep.
So this is a lifesteal multiplying item. If you have 50 lifesteal, you also get 50 power,
Mhm.
and you also get half of that as more lifesteal. You get 75. You get a bonus 25, and you also get the bonus 50.
So it's got
Oh.
15 magical.
They both
50%.
calculate off of the same core number, which is how
So
much
you can
item
get an
lifesteal you have
extra,
before the
what,
passive
like-
starts. But
Okay.
you can transfer
that's
your
pretty
lifesteal
cool,
into more
actually.
power and your lifesteal into more lifesteal.
My power's
Wow.
increased by 100% of the magical lifesteal I have.
Yes.
They stack on each other, right?
Well,
No.
they don't go back and forth. You,
You
don't
get
get
an
the
extra
increase and
75
then power.
power.
They
Okay,
both
I
play
was
off the
shocked out
same
of it.
core number.
Okay.
If you stack
So
life
say you have
steal, so
50%
Anubis,
lifesteal, you now
who
get
actually has
75
lifesteal in their
and you get plus
build,
50 power. So
Okay.
Who else?
Yeah,
lifesteal,
lifesteal
mages are
Someone
back.
else has lifesteal, right?
Anubis.
2,800 gold. 2,800 gold. That's
Dude,
just the only thing I'm
Anubis.
going to say about that one. At least it's 2,800
It is
gold.
expensive.
This is gonna be
It is
fun,
like
bros.
crazy.
Obsidian
This
Shard
is
is the
gonna be
next one
fun.
up. And Penetration. I
Yeah,
guess we
so
should
this
talk
is our
about pen.
translation
Freya,
from
oh
now
yeah,
we're going to move
Freya,
from mage
fuck.
items. This is still a mage item, obviously, into our anti-tank
Remove
items.
the pen.
I released a blog post a little while ago. We're talking about how the dynamic in Smite works between different classes.
Mhm.
We don't really want to counter tanks or nerf them. We don't want to nerf tanks across the board anyway. There's
Right.
already guardians and warriors at all across the stats, right? There's good ones, there's bad ones. They don't need all to be adjusted in the same way.
Okay.
But we also want to make sure players can counter build. This is something we've always encouraged
Yeah.
in Smite. This is something we really like, and you'll see a couple other changes in the patch to be specific counters. But a problem was Titans and Obsidians were just so good against everything.
If you built Obsidian, you were getting against most characters except for other mages. You were getting about 15 because that's just how that worked out. And 15 pen is what you get from other items. So it was a good
Right.
decision. It was a good buy against squishies. It was also a good buy against tanks. And if you up it to 40%, 45%, you start having tanks who just build this once and they have like suddenly 20 pen on a squishy. And
Yeah.
so it was something that we really couldn't adjust before. It wasn't a tool that we could actually use, but it was designed to be a tool to specifically counter tanks.
So you're going to see now 4 items, 2 that work off protections and 2 that work on health, 2 for mages and 2 for physicals that are specifically nerfed from their Season 4 versions, unless you're fighting against very tanky gods.
Okay, so here we go.
My child is
33% magical
rank.
penetration removed from Obsidian Shard, but it's got a new passive. Your magical damage ignores 20% of the target's magic protection. If the target has over 40 magical protections, this effect scales up to ignore a larger percentage of their protection. This caps at 45% magical penetration at 175 or more magical protection.
Yeah, so if someone
Holy
stacked a whole bunch of magical
shit.
protections, you can
You
actually
will
shred
fuck
45%
tanks
of it.
up.
But if you're riding a squishy character who hasn't built any, it's actually just still at 20%.
You will
Gotcha. So
fuck
it's
a
just gonna, it's
tank
going to scale based off
up.
what you're fighting. So it's still...
It linearly scales up for between those 2 numbers.
And Titan's Bane is the next one up, and that's going to be a very similar
Mage
story.
meta,
We've
boys.
removed the 33% physical penetration. Your physical damage ignores 20% of your target's physical protection. If the target has over 65 physical protections, this effect scales up to ignore a larger percentage of that protection. This cap
the
at
same for Titan's
40%
Bane.
physical protection.
Be able to
Sorry,
fuck
penetration
tanks
at
up.
175 or more physical protections.
Right.
So once again, if you build a lot of armor, you're going to shred more of that armor on that target. But if they've got less armor, you're going to do
Less shred. Yep.
Right.
Job done. Okay.
Yep. These items, you will not want these items to counter your similar class. You won't want to do
Sure.
it against Hunter Boxing. It will not be as good as a flat pen item.
Okay.
But if the enemy tank is really giving you trouble, built too many Nemeans and Breastplate of Valors,
Then
you can
chuck it.
itemize into this.
Okay.
But it's going to hurt your damage a little bit towards towers.
I'm thinking the tanks and warriors go
because this is also
towards
now God.
health
This
builds.
affects
So
only
it doesn't
God
affect
would-
structures anymore.
Heavy
Correct.
health builds.
So how structure damage is like just flat pen is going to be the best thing to pick up against
Yeah,
them?
flat pen. We've also done a few adjustments to towers that we'll get to later.
Right.
That kind of also help that a bit. But flat pen is now the go-to stat to damage towers.
Okay.
So the main goal, Titans and Obsidians, are not just be these catch-all penetration good against everything anymore.
Makes sense. Ethereal Staff is the next one on this list, and this is based off what Adria was just saying about the health. The new passive of Ethereal Staff will be your abilities deal an additional 3% of the target's maximum health as true damage. If the target has over 2,000 health, your ability bonus damage scales up, capping at 10% max health on a 2,750 HP targets. This effect can only occur once every 10 seconds, so dot damage... Nice try. And prioritizes highest max HP targets first.
Yeah, AoE will only hit one person.
Cool.
That
So it's
means
the
it'll
one
hit
with the high
tankiest
stuff. So very
person.
similar to what Soul Reaver used to do.
Yeah, yeah.
When you hit that. And chin size. Or chin size.
I wonder what
whichever you
Soul
wanna say
Reaver
it.
changed.
The
Or not
new
Soul
passive on
Reaver,
this on basic attack hits
yeah,
deal
Kins.
physical
What the fuck, that's the Soul
damage
Reaver.
equal to
So
3% of the
Kins
target's
is, it's
maximum
6.
health. If the
So the
target
6.
has over 2,000 health, your basic attack bonus damage scales up, capping at 5% max health on a 2,750 HP targets. This only affects gods.
Right. So it used to be 4.
Of course.
Now it's scaled down from 3 up to
Oh,
5.
it's
against
3
regular
up to
targets.
5
Yep.
instead of
Nerfed in a
4
Hunter
to-
versus Hunter situation. Buffed in a Hunter versus Guardian situation.
Why do
So
they
they
fuck
were
with
the
Kins
tank
so
shredder
much?
items we were talking about.
Yep,
And the
those are the
next
4.
one is, what was the next section you wanted to class as?
Movement speed.
Movement speed.
Yeah. So
Boots are getting nerfed. That's what you need to know on the base level.
pretty much. Pretty
yeah.
much.
Well, I mean, they cost 500 to start.
So yeah,
Yes.
tier 1 is going from 300 to 500.
That's the first thing. We've not listed that yet on our section, but I just wanted to bring that up.
And-
That's why when you add the blessing in, 700 gold for a blessing, 500 for boots tier 1, you've still got, what, 12?
Yeah,
200
you
gold
can get
left?
a couple
Teleria is going to be so good in the jungle.
That's a good start.
Yeah, it's okay.
So is Blessing tier
25%
1.
movement
So boots
speed.
1 are now 500 gold, but we're looking at Talari's and
This is gonna be
Traveler's
nuts.
boots first of all, as you can see on the screen. We've increased the cost of these from 1,400 to 1,600 overall, added 15 MP5 to these. We've increased the movement speed from 18% to 25%, but the passive has changed now.
Yes.
You gain 20% additional movement speed after leaving the fountain. This effect lasts 7 seconds. So, combination of swift wing, no gold regen on these either.
Yeah, it's the go fast boots.
They go fast, but
Yeah,
you don't
go
get gold.
fast boots.
Correct. There's a few issues with Talari's and Travelers where you could,
I'm gonna
you could
mess
gain
with these in
gold,
the
but you didn't
jungle.
know exactly what targets you were going to get.
Yep.
Conveying that effect to the player is very difficult. You just had to keep this mental counter in your head.
Yeah, I'm thinking
And,
Mercury
it
is
also,
going to be
especially with all the
fucking
pacing changes that we
nasty
wanted to do in
with some of these
Conquest,
items.
this extra spike of this gold that Guardians could earn just kind of threw off differences between characters. If you didn't build them or if you built them, you had a very different gold level. And so when we designed something like Guardian's Blessing, that was meant to be the kind of the gold generator for the Guardians. Talari's boot didn't necessarily fit that goal anymore. So we've shifted it to the Go Fast boots. Anyone can build this, so it's opened up to a whole bunch of different classes.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
It's very. I
Okay.
mean, I think they'll be very strong, but you do have to sacrifice specifically some power.
could be
and some other
interesting
things.
too.
Yeah,
to be able to
you're
do that.
losing like 30 power for
No
Warrior
pen,
Tabby.
no cooldown reduction. Or
There,
anything like
there's
that,
also
like-
some other adjustments to the other boots. We increased the cost of a couple other boots, Ninja Tabi,
And Warrior
Tabby. Also, mages got the increase as well in the cost, but they got some stat
Yes.
adjustments as well. That's why they're on the adjust section
Yeah.
and not the nerf section. But
Now
all
those
the boots
things,
are a little
again,
bit more expensive.
Just to reiterate again, everything will be available for you guys to read through manually after the patch notes show.
Right.
We're not going through every single number change. We're just scanning over. a
Right,
couple
we're
of
already
them.
running late. If we read all of those changes,
Yeah,
this
we'll
would
be
be
here for
insane.
hours
So
more.
you're going to see a lot of changes to boots, and the biggest ones are redesigns of Talarian Travelers.
Yep.
Next up is the Crusher. It's got a new passive, does Crusher. And the passive is while over... Sorry, no, that's the wrong one. Your abilities deal bonus damage over time equal to 30 plus 15% of your physical power over 2
What?
seconds.
Souped up bluestone.
So it's not Tower Shrine.
Oh.
Well,
It
it was
is.
Tower
It
Shredder,
wasn't
and then it became
changed.
CDR, and
Yeah.
now it is aimed at
Ooh.
Bluestone. And this really makes sense
Best
for the
bet.
kind of hunters who are the more ability focused. The attack speed is really nice for them, so that they can actually start attacking a bit more, be kind of more huntery.
Best that could
The
be fun
penetration
as
dice,
fuck.
and now this bonus damage, they can build things like Transcendence, Yotunes, these high physical power items,
And Assassins
and
can
really
go this
synergize
too.
with it. And
Yeah.
assassins who work off basic attacks can totally do it,
Circuit.
or they can go Heartseeker, which is more focused on like a single
Relics.
instant burst of damage, which depending on the character you're playing, you might want the
A
instant
Wheelix
versus the
with
more
this
overtime damage.
and
It's a really
new
nice
Transcendence.
ability item that we added. We kept the
Dodgy.
attack speed, although that might seem counterintuitive. You might think of those as complete opposites. Most of those
Loki.
classes, they need some attack speed anyway.
Loki can be
So
fun
the
as
fact that they
shit.
can build into an item that's very good for ability hunters while also getting some attack speed just makes the ability hunter class as a whole a lot more viable.
Next item on the list is Blackthorn Hammer. I had never learnt the old one.
Well,
I'm gonna lie.
we're redesigning it so you
Never
can
learned
forget it.
Never learned it because I never saw it.
It bailed you out at low health.
A new passive. While over 50% mana, you gain 10% cooldown reduction. But while under 50% mana, you gain 50 MP. 50 MP5 is a hell of a lot of MP5 there,
Yeah.
boys. So you're always going to have 10% cooldown reduction with this item.
Or if you
Always.
drop below it, you're gonna go up fairly quickly.
So you're going to be at.
This is
10%
the
cooldown reduction most of the time.
ability spam warrior.
Someone like Guan Yu, who like constantly is healing
That's
his
fair.
team and doing a whole bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
gets the bonus health so he can
It
actually
should be
engage.
great for him.
Yeah.
50 is huge. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's a
Blackthorn
lot.
Hammer. The next one with a new passive is Iqval. Well, it's not a new passive, it's more of an addition to the passive. It now also reduces magical power by 15 per stack. So instead of having the two different bows, it's
Yeah.
all in one.
Yep, so
Yeah,
we're
they
adjusting
combine
Iqbal and Silverbranch to make
Yep.
their differences a little bit more clear. So now Iqbal is going to reduce power of both physical and magical, and Silverbranch is going to do whatever you're about to read
It's
right now.
going to do every successful basic attack increases your attack speed by 5% and reduces your opponent's attack speed by 5% for 3 seconds. Oh, that's good. So it's a 30% swing then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so instead of magical versus physical bows, now we have power bow versus attack speed bow.
Okay. And that's going to be on the Silver Branch bow. And the next item is going to be Hide of the Urchin.
This is
on
an
the
interesting one too.
We're reducing the protections per stack from 3 to 2 to start off with, but now it evolves providing a new effect. And the new effect is you gain 100 health plus 5 per level shield that regenerates a small portion of the shield every 3 seconds while out of combat. The full shield will regenerate after 30 seconds. So it's 100 times...
300
times
total.
300 total. So it's a 300 health
200.
shield that
That's right.
regens...
No, wait.
No, it's more than that.
5 times 20.
It'd be 250. 100 plus 15 times math.
5 times 20.
No, because it's every 3 seconds, does it every 30.
No, that's only one trigger.
Oh, sure. It does a shield amount.
We nerfed the protections per stack. This item was another snowball.
Oh, you're talking about
item.
the stacks. I'm talking about the.
No,
the
we're talking
health.
about both. We're talking about both. I'm just re-summarizing because we got lost in the maths there. The item has been nerfed per protections per stack because this was
Okay.
just the best protection items. Like
Sure.
if you could stack it, we wanted to make it not just
Quick
the
math.
most raw stats. We wanted to give it a new identity.
So,
So
it
it's
get,
less
so you
stats,
still get stacks,
but less protections.
but
per
you
stack.
get a shield,
But
right?
if you complete it
Shield regens protection.
out of combat, it's an out of combat. It's a more if you want to pace out your your initiations more is what
Okay.
it's good for. That's actually pretty hard to stay out of combat for as long as it takes to regen this shield. Like it may sound very strong, but you really have to pace out when you're going to dive. I mean, you can get if you start to clear jungle camps, you're
Minions
gonna
are gonna-
you're gonna interrupt this a lot. So
Sure.
kind of getting that whole shield up is something that we want to take for the more calculated guardians.
Next up,
warriors.
Calculated
hopefully
Guardians?
less math involved. Talisman of Energy
Warriors.
is the
This
next
one
one on
does
the
have
list.
less math.
There's some still.
This is a new item, Talisman of Energy? I've never heard of
It
this.
is
is
kind of
new.
new, but so this one was we had an icon and an item kind of worked roughly out last year, but we
Okay.
decided not to go forward with it. So some people with data mined saw this icon, it might look familiar to them, but Now
So-
it's back with a real item.
2250 in terms of gold, 50 magical protection, 300 health, and a passive. Getting a kill or an assist on enemies causes you and allies within 55 units to gain stacks of energy. Energy stacks provide 1% movement speed, 1% attack speed, 5 MP, 5 per stack. Last 6 seconds and stacks up to 10 times, so that can be 10 movement speed, 10 seconds. When it says kill or assist on enemies...
Anything.
Literally anything.
Anything dying around you.
Structures?
They don't count as enemies. Sorry.
I mean,
So
technically they are enemies, though.
Sure.
not in the rule, not in
Caught
the
'em,
rules of
caught
Smite.
'em, guys.
Humanoids, as we call them in the
Okay.
code. It's minions, jungles, gods.
Minions,
So this
jungle
is a souped up war flag
Yeah.
as a sort of aggressive or hybrid magical protection item
And
Yeah.
it ends up being 10% movement speed, 10% attack speed, 5 MP, 5 per stack as well. So
for your
that's
whole
what,
team. If
50
they're near you,
MP5
if you
per
clear
day.
a wave, you get 6% to everybody right around you. So you can
Okay.
use this
Yeah, I
to
saw-
boost up the whole team. We really like Shoguns
Mhm.
being an aggressive kind of aura item. This is kind of in the similar route.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
seen it in playtests where people build it and kind of siege towers with it because they're killing miniways and then pushing the tower, then killing miniways and pushing the tower.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's a lot of fun.
Next up on the list is Gauntlet of Thebes. Thebes is going to have some adjustments. Increased cost, first of all, from 2150 to 2400. We've also decreased the health on this item from 300 to 200. It has a new passive. For each assist on a lane minion, gain 1 stack. Stacks provide 1 physical protection, and magical protection evolves at 50 stacks. And the evolved passive is provides an aura of 20 magical protections to you and your ally gods within 70 units. So, taken Heartward Amulet to an extent in terms of the aura and thing
Well,
once you get it evolved.
Yeah, kind of taking current Gauntlet, which was the aura of both
That's true,
protections.
yeah, I
We're
forgot
giving
that.
this more selfish protections for the Guardian, but also have the aura. But you'd have to really commit to being a Guardian to
Gotcha.
get this. This is
It's
like
only assists.
it's hard. It's only assists.
Yeah.
You have to really buy it early and commit to stacking it and playing as a support to really get those stacks.
Okay.
Really, we're just pacing it out better as opposed to providing too much of an early power spike. We had to nerf it
Yeah,
this
it's just
season.
another support
So instead, we've
item.
created this new identity for a Guardian
Just
item. We've been
swapping it
wanting to do
around.
something like this for
Yeah.
a really long time.
Sure.
A lot of players
Multiple seasons.
have had feedback like this. A Guardian item that a tier 3 that you actually stack like you do Watchers and Lonos to really assist, and then you get paid off with really big Guardian
And then
stats.
add that with the Hide of the Edge
So,
and things. So
if
there's a
you
lot of
complete-
stacking items with support.
If you complete
Yeah.
this item, you're going to have a lot of protections and health, and you're going to be giving that aura to your team in a very powerful way.
Okay, Oni Hunter's Garb is the next one on the docket. New passive. When 3 or more enemy gods are within 55 units of you, you gain a 5% damage mitigation buff.
This is just a slight tweak.
Yeah.
We used to have it be more intense and be on a cooldown, so we just made it a more consistent but no cooldown. So
Okay.
And the wording was also kind of a bit confusing because you had to trigger it off a certain amount being around you. Now it just triggers for having people around you. So if we're playing aggressively into an enemy team.
Right. So anytime you dive the enemy team, you're going to get bonus of defense.
Spectral Armor. Decreased physical protection from 70 to 60. And then a new passive. Critical strikes deal 50% bonus damage to you instead of 100% bonus damage to you.
It's the anti-crit item.
Yep.
People
We
have been
have an
asking for this for a while. It's strictly
Doesn't fear anymore?
Does not
It's
fear.
just
no fear. Yeah, that's gone.
Okay.
we
This
found
was
that a
in
little
the
bit effective but frustrating.
the
Okay.
leaks or whatever.
So
the data
this is the
mining.
anti-crit armor. It is strictly, worse as far as just
Spectral
general physical protection.
is
But
no
still,
deal
there's,
longer
if
annoying
there's
as
someone really
fuck,
going crit,
but
it
against
evens out a little bit.
Mercury or
Okay,
crit
good.
belt
I like that
hunters
one.
and
Some
Circuit
Geb
crit
on this
build,
is
it's
like
gonna be
can almost
annoying as
become
fuck.
uncrittable.
Yeah.
That's cool. Cursed Ankh upgrade is the next thing on here, and it's remove the debuffs that increased mana cost and cooldown. So not many people were really using that, but I
Yeah, 'cause
thought
it was
it
a
was a
waste.
very, very strong opportunity. But it now applies a new curse effect. If you are healed by an ability while this effect is active, you take 20% more damage from all sources. This effect does not.
Yeah.
So wait. If
You
I
see that face?
if my teammate heals me and I'm
While you're
debuffed,
cursed, yeah.
but
Yeah.
what if he's a noob? That's not my fault. He's a noob and he healed me when I didn't want to get
Well,
healed.
he healed you, so use that health
Stay
to
away
get out.
from him. Yeah, I don't know. We were only doing a couple relic changes.
Okay.
We were feeling really good about relics, but there's a couple upgrades that didn't feel like they had the same potency when upgraded.
Sure.
So this was one that people really weren't prioritizing the upgrade. We wanted that to happen. We also wanted to just look at a couple relics at a couple nerfs, but there's not going to see that many changes. So
You take increased damage with this upgrade if you are getting healed.
Yep.
right, and that
Cool.
lasts for the same duration as the healing. So if you are cursed for 5 seconds, and you only
Yep.
get healed the last second, you only cut that increased damage for 1 more second.
Yeah.
Well, talking about relics, there's the next one. This is a big one,
curse is
guys.
pretty
Get ready
Oh
for this.
yes, rest in peace.
Hand of the
That's
gods.
pretty good. Has been
Let's go.
removed.
Bye.
Rest in peace,
No
I'm
more.
sorry.
Wait, what did they brought it back in on
Live
a
your life
different
now
name
as
or
a strategy
something?
game.
It's over.
So Hand of the Gods was a really tough relic to balance. It was kind of always designed as this idea to help junglers in low clear scenarios, but we just didn't see that happening. The only time it was meta, it was used to just spam on jungle boss clear or invade clear, which was neither of those scenarios were very fun from most players' perspective, most pros. So the item really wasn't, the relic was not fulfilling its goals in either direction, so it is just bye-bye.
Okay,
bye-bye.
That's it for Hand of the Gods. Shield of Thorns is the final relic in this section. If you are dealt 150 times your level damage while this effective is active, Shield of Thorns will end early.
This applies to both this and the upgrade. So really, this just prevents those extreme scenarios where you can somehow reflect an absurd amount of damage. If you, there's going to have a cap now.
Right. Okay, so it's capped out. So like, if a whole team goes on you, you can still die because not everyone's going to be like, well, it's going to keep.
And we'll be looking at this number really closely. This scaling number. This was a kind of tough one to calculate, as we want to see it in practice, see if players are actually achieving it ending early and then counterplaying it in that way, or if it's still lasting full duration the whole time. We'll bring that cap down a little bit. So that's how we want to balance Thorns.
Okay, so that's it for the item section with us here today.
There's a lot more.
There's still more to come.
Go read it
I want
online.
to make sure you're very, very aware of this as well. Twitter and Reddit will be live all the time after the show with after the patch note show with the live patch notes going out for you all to read individual single line changes, as well as answering any questions you guys have. What we're going to do, though, instead of going straight into God Balance, is we're going to have a little interlude with the lovely Tina and Chuck and have a look at some of these skins while these guys go and get some of those questions answered. We'll be back in a second.
I am downloading the PTS, so as soon as the patch is over, we're going on PTS. Everyone else should do the same. Download the PTS, we'll go into viewer games, and we'll fucking grind this shit out and learn all the new stuff, learn the new builds. Learn how to fucking jungle again. Learn how to frag on kids again.
And we're back with Tina and Chuck. How you guys doing?
Very well.
I didn't get to see the video because Tina was busy hitting me with her headset.
Sorry.
Just to start the day off.
Just heard the guitar.
Normally we leave the skins to the end, but we thought because we've got to go through so many numbers and things, we'll take a little break now and show those skins in game before we go straight back to looking at the God Balance changes that are going to be going in as well before the end of it.
There was a lot of numbers.
There was a
I
few
was getting
numbers.
sleepy.
There was a few numbers. That's why you guys, you're here for comic relief now.
Oh, excellent.
It's generally what you're always here for, right?
Yeah.
I thought
You
we
can
were
count
here
on us, dude.
for our expertise.
Oh, that too.
I mean, yeah. If you want to put it that way, I guess. You can try to. We'll start things off with Star Salvager Scardy. This looks amazing, by the way. I heard a lot about one of the jokes in this or something that you made a mistake, right?
Yeah, I did. I was supposed to say another man's trash is my kind of treasure, and instead I wrote another man's junk is my kind of treasure. And
That's better.
I know.
Was that a too bad Tina?
Yeah, it was a too bad teens moment, so I got rid of it.
It looks so good, but it looks like he's in digital format right now, where it's
He
like, okay,
is.
it's uploading
Yes.
right
Yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm.
It's
He's
his
great.
holograph.
He beeps too,
Version.
so he actually cusses a lot, but
Have you
know,
got
he
game sound,
beeps
by the way?
instead.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't hear
'cause
game sound. Oh, now we
Oh.
do. There we go. Thank you. Production's way on the ball today. Shout out to production there. We're not in the usual setting we would normally be in, but man, they're making things work.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole design of this is kind of like intergalactic star traveling.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
she's kind of a
She
space
likes
traveler who collects stuff
Fell
and
asleep?
makes
No, I'm doing
robot
something right
dogs
now,
and
business-wise.
gadgets. She's got gadgetry for all her abilities are space gadgetry based now.
And there's a look at that one. And we should be able to hear the voice pack as well with this.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Nice one. That was crazy. I'm not too shabby. Hey, yeah you. I found that item first. Yeah, K4LD over here loves to go on scavenger HUNTS.
KLD4.
K4LD, like Calder,
That's
but
too smart.
K4LD.
Okay, that's the Scardy one. We'll move swiftly along now to Knight of Wisdom Athena.
Cookies.
And Chuck, this one looked great. Like, I really like. I saw the little animation we got earlier on, and it looks fantastic with this. What's the hottest thing with this? really
There was,
model.
I mean, putting a lot of armor on somebody that doesn't have a lot of armor, helmets, and all that stuff is a little bit tricky. What?
But the
I'm
lance
very
looks amazing.
confused
About what?
because we saw the lance in the card art.
Oh.
Oh, she's holding it upside down.
Yeah, she had it the
yeah,
other way
that's
around.
right,
That's why
yeah.
she
I
put it
was
in the
like,
ground.
what?
Yeah,
Looks so dinky.
But now she's in like attack mode. You
Yes.
know, she
All right,
attack
I
and she
got it.
defend.
I got it now.
with
Let's
the
see what's
shield.
happening.
It makes a lot of sense. There's the dash. Oh, the dash looks nice. What about reach?
Fight me, coward!
Reach is so important. I bet you can't show the ult, can you? You didn't think of that, did you, Pon? Silly Pon. Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, he's really quick. Was that an eagle?
I think so. Do it again, Pawn.
Too busy looking at phone. Like I said,
Yeah,
I'm busy
yeah,
doing
I see it.
business. You guys can
On
watch
the
the
ground, the
rest
eagle
while
comes
I do
down as well.
business.
Now she comes with a voice pack too, so we should take a quick listen there.
Woohoo! Woohoo! You fight extraordinarily! Astounding! I fight with pride. You have sealed your fate. Why did the knight run about shouting for a can opener? He had a bee in his suit of armor.
The French knight.
Yeah, I was going for a Joan of Arc.
That
sort
makes
of
sense.
Thing.
She's very good at losing because she's French, just so you know. Next up on the list, I mean, I have to. Demonic Thanatos is the next one. Now, this one is... Explain this to me, Chuck, because, like, obviously it is the evolved form to an extent of a previous skin we've had,
Yes, it is.
but it doesn't change.
No. So lots of people have, really had interest in getting a hold of Angelic Thanatos. We can't really do that, guys,
Sure.
because of the way the Odyssey structure works. But, we made kind of like a super inverted homage skin for people that want to have that experience.
It looks dope. It looks really, really good.
It's pretty crazy.
Now, it doesn't evolve, but I believe there's some tech that's been put into this skin that is also going to be put into the Angelic one, too.
Yeah, so we added
I'm
this
still gonna use the
setup.
I think I might use
like
this over the
Discordia
all
and
black.
Soul and some
Thanatos
other
skin.
guys have, where if you're moving forward for a while, they switch over to a different animation grouping for moving, which is flying. That was my tweet, by the way. The skull the other week.
It was a skull.
Yeah. See
course
the
it
skull for the execute.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That looks really cool.
It's pretty intense. He's got like a very super Castlevania kind of vibe that I've
Yeah.
really been enjoying.
So
Good
we
work.
run through the abilities real quick again. Obviously, you just seen the ult, the scythe as well. Does this have a VGS? Or am I making that up? Did I hear it had a special emote?
TXG? I don't believe so. I think the thing that we added was the
Oh.
Colors are cool.
yeah.
Phoenix is
Hello.
dope.
I think the thing that we added was the additional flight thing. Pon, can you move
Gotcha.
forward for a while without doing anything else?
Yeah, just walk.
Just kind of be chill.
Pon being chill. That's chill.
I don't know. I've definitely seen it. Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I don't see the feature.
But I do understand that anything that has been added to this skin is also going to be added
Don't
to
use the word
Angelic.
anything. That's
Sorry,
a bad
sorry.
word. Don't. We're on
Apologies.
the internet here. and
Apologies,
people
not
don't
anything, but-
they could add anything.
That's true.
You see?
If they want to have a go at me, I don't
Scythe.
care.
The scythe.
No, it's not
Oh,
you.
man.
I don't care about you.
Yeah, but it's
I
on
just
my
don't want to
head.
get a lot of tweets.
It's on my head because, like, well, Hindu said. And I was
All
like,
right,
well, Hindu's
cool.
an idiot.
I'll just blame
That's all, just
Hindu.
blame
That's
me,
a
it's
good
fine.
strategy. Yeah,
problem.
Always
I
blame Hindu.
feel pretty good.
All right,
about
that's the demonic Thanatos, and we've got Pale Raven Morrigan. Oh, sorry, the voice pack for Thanatos. My bad.
that. Yeah, let's do it.
Victory will be mine. Victory will be mine, Percy. Revenge. I am invincible. When I realized I couldn't be everywhere, I created the mother-in-law.
I created the what?
Mother-in-law.
When I realized I could be everywhere, I created the mother-in-law.
Oh, right. Okay, I get it.
Okay, that's on the bingo board for a bad joke where we grow. Good job, everybody at home who put that one in. Pale Raven Morrigan is the next one on
Man, that
the
Thanatos.
list.
I'm gonna be using that all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
I love the tattoos on this as well, and I love she's pale.
Yep.
It
Oh,
reflects in the name. Pale Raven Morrigan.
Yeah, this
a
is
great card,
actually a
too.
pretty sweet Morrigan. This will also
Now-
be pretty fun.
Tina, can you tell me how these guys get this skin? Do you know off the top of your head? I've got written down here it's 150 rank wins
Oh.
when players should receive this, and how it's earned is by playing ranked, from what I understand.
It's a ranked
150
reward.
ranked
A ranked
wins.
reward.
So all you
Yeah.
plebers
I
out
wasn't sure if you
there-
guys knew because we've not had a chance. We've
You
been
ain't
so
getting a
busy.
skin.
We've get this patch.
Yeah,
Had a
yeah.
chance to sit with you guys and like
You're
talk
just
through.
reminding
But...
me right now.
Well, there you go. For you guys at home, it's a ranked reward. This skin, that you'll
And it
be able to
does have custom effects. Ooh, listen to those
Oh,
sounds.
those are cool.
That
Sounds are
is
dope.
swanky.
I like the sounds actually.
get. This is a new note.
Rip the plebs.
Season pawn. That is terrible. I only just noticed that.
Man, what is that?
Titties.
That is something. Some dramatic shit is happening right
What
now.
is that sound?
Is that when they have the curse on them?
Yeah, what the fuck
that
was
again.
that?
What was somebody?
That was some dramatic.
What was
music.
that?
the curse?
Oh, we got to go faster.
Okay. Next up, let's have a listen to the voice pack now for Morrigan.
Okay, right on. Go.
Shush! Woo-hoo! We are pleased. How devious! We are #1! They don't even know what powers we possess. Honestly, we might be a Pyromancer. We really, really love pie.
And that's it for the skin section. For
I like
now.
the Pyromancer joke
the Pyromancer joke
about
did
pie.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
Pie is important. You guys have been amazing. Any last things on the skins before we let go?
I think we're good.
Thank you so much for joining
That
us
was real
today.
quick.
We'll be back momentarily with the God section now of the game. We'll be right back after this.
Ooh, the last changes, and then we go on the PTS, boys. Make sure you download PTS. I have it downloaded. Game is down though. You can't click play.
Death is
And
not
sorry for looking
the
at my
end.
phone, but I have very, very important business stuff happening basically today and tomorrow, which is kind of weird that it falls on the same day as patch, but shit happens.
Forge a new world where all shall fear.
Oh, you close, reopen, and you can play? Alright, let me try that.
Welcome back. As you can see, Chuck was desperate to get off air so these guys could get back on. So, once again, it's AJ and Pom Pom. With time to go through
The
gods
Pon Pon.
next.
Oh yeah.
It's God time. Start things off with what's the philosophy for Season 5, AJ?
So we have a very different dynamic this year. We have a big change to the map. There's a lot of things that are a little unpredictable. We want to see how a lot of things go. So we're taking God balance purposefully. We're taking it a little lighter this year. We're going to address a few key categories, just like we did in items. We're going to look at some mage changes because they got a lot of changes in their items. We're going to look at some gods that were just clearly overperforming at the end of last season. And we're going to look at a couple gods that are just clearly underperforming or ones that might end up with some map buffs, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really, we didn't want to do too many of these map buff nerfs. We really want to wait for the patch to go live and
See how it
see
all
how
plays
they
out.
really perform. Because you can theory craft a lot of things like Thor ult might get better on the new map, but there's more factors to it than that. There's more cover in the air. It's harder to see where you're going to land. He can't ult really from like lane to lane. He has to walk closer, further, whatever to the lane before he can actually dunk into the lane. There's a lot more intangibles.
Yeah.
So we really want to see how a lot of those play out. And so we're taking 5-1 a little lighter, but you can expect pretty heavy balance as we go forward in the early parts of Season 5 because we want to really see how much this new map really shakes things up.
Well, graphic is coming on your screen right now to give you guys a little look at some of the changes we're going to see for sure. Buffs to Ymir, Loki, Ra, Agni, Hebo, Hal, Scylla, Ares, Kepri, Tyr, Giannis, Kuzumbo, and Toth. Nerfs to Raijin, Fafnir, Kukullan, Ratatoska, and Muzenkarb Raven. Shockingly enough, you may have seen a lot of those at Worlds.
Yeah,
And
Loki
adjustments
buff,
or
Ra
changes.
buff.
out
Oh, I remember the
Nike.
Ra,
We'll go through most of
potential
these
Ra
now,
buffs.
but there's a little rough overview. And
Scylla,
if we don't go into too
ooh.
much detail about any of those,
No
you can find
junglers
the
are
full
getting
patch
buffed.
notes about what adjusted to them to
Rat's
make
getting
it a
nerfed,
buff,
which is
a nerf,
strange.
or an adjustment.
Probably to his passive pin.
The next
Janice
one, the
buff.
next thing to talk about then is we're going to start things off with
I can already
mages
hear
to begin
DM.
the game.
Janice getting buffed.
All
He's the
mages
best
have
already.
their
What are you
magical
doing,
protection
high res?
scalings of 0.9 per level.
Oh my god.
Yes, we're giving this to
We've all got
all.
magical.
So previously,
0.9 per
core
level,
DPS
alright.
mages did not have any magical scaling per level.
Right.
We're giving them all that. Now it is consistent across the entire game. We didn't really do it just for consistency's sake, because it's okay for things to be different in Smite. We did it because we wanted to help the mage class as a whole,
Yeah.
along with our item changes and our philosophy of like bringing the different mages up in different strengths and having them all be viable.
Sure.
Wanted to equalize this out too. This is also a very core component in Guardians versus Mages.
That's what I was going to say. Guardians versus Mages.
Yes.
Obviously, Guardians are very strong at dealing with Mages because they can get and dive it and no magical protection.
So we want to give Mages really stood no chance against Guardians in many scenarios previous to this, but now they'll have a few more options. They'll be a little harder to kill by Guardians, and they'll have a little more options like with the tank shredders to defend themselves.
Well, we're going to go through some of the changes that we've done. These ones are based off Season 4 balance from Worlds, first of all, from Hire's Expo. We'll start things off with Amuse and Carb. Hives,
we
first of all.
do the HRX nerfs.
Yeah, we've got to do some changes to these. These are still even going to be impactful in Season 5, we expect.
Yes.
So, Amuse and Carb, Hive, decrease the attack speed buff from 10 to 50%. It's now going to be 10 to 30%. And not only that, we've also decreased the movement speed buff from Hive from 10 to 30% will be now 5 to 25%. So just a little bit less mobile.
Good.
Yeah,
Fuck
a little
AMC.
bit harder to box with him. He's not going
Fuck
to
him.
be as crazy stimmed with Hives fully active. He also is going to be moving a bit less while Hive are active. And especially on Season 5, with the map being a bit bigger, that movement speed component, being able to create that hive of networks, was a really big boon to him. So, a little bit preemptive, but mostly off his performance at Worlds.
He was one of the highest performing gods of Season 4, both in
Makes
HRX and
Fuck AMC,
in
boys.
ranked play and etc. Really, really
Fuck
strong
'em.
god. So had to
After
tone
Amuse
him
and
down.
Carb, we'll look at Cucullin. His base stats reduced base HP 5 from 9 to 7. But not only that, we also hit the Spear of Mortal Pain, the Warcry as well. Increased cooldown from 90 seconds to 100 seconds. So the ultimate is going up 10 seconds.
Right, that mostly affects his non-berserk mode.
Yeah.
Of course, it carries over, but this was a
Increased
really strong
cooldown,
ultimate.
makes
He gets
sense.
CC immunity. He
His
can
ult's annoying
AoE
as
CC an
fuck.
entire team. Does a good bit of damage.
PTS
and
still down for
enables
me,
him to
boys.
berserk.
Yeah.
So we really want players who play Cucullin, play him well, to manage their rage better and rely
It's only
on that,
10
using
seconds.
that
It's
on
not
their other
that big a
abilities
deal.
as opposed to just ulting right into it. So just adding some cooldown on this to slow him down so he's not just being hulking out all the time.
Okay. After that, it's Fafnir. Curse Strength. Decreased the stun duration from 1.5 seconds to 1 second in both Dwarf and Dragon form. So just overall upon the stun just coming down by 0.5 seconds.
Yeah, it makes it so that he has a hard time locking down. Right now, he can like stun someone, ult, and then leap onto them, and then stun them again.
Yeah.
It's a really strong chain. Now having that reduced by 0.5 seconds on both his dwarf and his dragon form means he's just gonna be controlling teams a bit less often. So other supports should be able to kind of deal with the amount of control that he brings to the fight.
He still has the slow. So.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
has
it's
lots
kind
of
of
unique
annoying.
elements,
Like,
right,
he's
which
still
we
gonna be
didn't
annoying,
need that
100%.
single player lockdown as well. Like he's already got the AoE stim,
lock, yeah.
or just the single player team stim, and he's also relatively evasive as far as
Yeah.
the Guardian goes with his ability to go out of the battlefield with his transformation and with his leaps. So those are his unique aspects we wanted to focus on. A single target lockdown. He was just a little too good at too many things. So.
Raijin is next up, and its Percussive Storm reduced the base damage from 30 going to 90. It's now going to be 25 to 85 per shot, which works out at 120 to 360 or 100 to 340 total. Not just Percussive Storm, though. We've also hit Raiju, reduced the damage to targets beyond the first. 15 to 55 plus 13% scaling will now be 9 to 33 plus 8% scaling per tick. So the first target takes more damage, the others not so much, so it's not going to be as effective to clear the wave.
Right.
Okay.
Taking his lane clear down, he's got so much team fight impact that, and his lane clear was also too good. So these both strictly make him harder to lane with.
Okay. It also means like if you're a tank, you can take that Raiju and like I'll take most of the damage, and my teammates will.
Right. Whoever was marked by Raiju and gets detonated
Takes
will
most.
take more, but everybody else will take half.
And finally,
like 60%.
Taiko Drums is the last one. Increased cooldown from 90 seconds to 100. Sorry, increased cooldown instead of decrease. Increased cooldown from 90 seconds to 100 seconds on that one, so 10 seconds up.
Yeah, this is just a very powerful ultimate. We saw this at HRX, so we want to slow this down a little bit too.
And the last one on this list from the World's changes are Raven. Decreased base health from 470 to 450, so a little bit squishier. And Mystic Rush decreased damage mitigation buff. It used to be 20 to 40%. It's now going to be 10 to 30%. So overall, big nerf there.
Yeah, he was very aggressive early on. He could clear very effectively. He could gank very effectively, and it was hard to push him out because he got so much damage mitigation. You couldn't really ever trade with him. This helps it so that, especially early game.
They're nerfing all the gods that performed
after the
like
World's balance
amazingly at
changes for
Worlds
gods, we're
and
going to look
last
at
split.
preemptive adjustments for Season 5. Now, a lot of these, I guess, is to things that we could expect to have knock-on effects for those gods.
Now we're focusing a
goes
little
on.
bit around like movement speed and jungle clear, depending on, or just clear in general.
Well,
so.
we'll start with movement speed, and the following gods are all going to get increased movement speed. I don't have the number of the movement speed, but it's base.
plus
So
5
these were
each?
the slowest mages in the game at 350, and Guardians.
Yep.
Guardians were all, some were at 360, most at 365. We bumped those slow ones up to up 5, and
Okay.
same with mages. So
So-
now these mages are going from 350 to 355. These Guardians are going from 360 to 365.
Yep.
I believe.
Sounds right.
The reason for this is just because they were low mobility. The map's
Debo
bigger,
movement
so we wanna
speed
keep
going
it
in the
mobile.
jungle, baby.
Yeah, these gods that were
Let's
just
go.
slower than everyone else in their class.
Zilla
didn't
gonna be my
seem
favorite god
necessary.
again because mages are gonna be sick.
I think Geb
Let's
is one of the
go.
only notable exceptions from here
Rollout.
because rollout is
Yeah.
so insane
Yeah.
on the new map. He will be the slowest guardian going forward. And then we'll be closely looking at mages as we go forward, but it didn't really make sense to us to have a couple mages who seemed arbitrarily punished to be slower.
Next one on the list is Loki. Now, this was leaked early on, Pom Pom.
Yeah.
Decoy. We decreased the cooldown from 14 seconds to 12 seconds and increased the damage from 75 to 275 is going to be 90 to 290. What's the reason?
So there's some map changes that happen with specifically jungle clear and with lane minions being a bit tankier.
Yeah.
And so Decoy as a pet doesn't benefit from things like Assassin's Blessing.
Sure.
So that 35% damage increase that all
they wanna
other
clear
junglers
better.
are getting does not
Loki
apply to
solo
Decoy. And so we
incoming.
wanted to bring up his damage a bit so he can still more compete with how
All
he
your
currently
pleb
competes.
games are gonna
As
fill
well
with
as lower
Loki
the
now.
cooldown so that he can
Get wrecked.
do things like make the jungle camps or make the lane minions not focus him as often, get a bit more damage out, actually do it between camps because camps respawn a bit quicker, so having multiple uses of Decoy is very useful. Really just to help Loki stay kind of where he is, because he's going to be a character that doesn't benefit from a lot of the other changes that happen that other characters are going to be benefiting from.
Okay. So that's the Loki change. We'll move on to Ratatoska next up. Dart increased cooldown from 12 seconds to 14 seconds, and Acorn Blast, the mana has increased on this from 60 flat to 60, scaling up to 80.
Yeah.
I guess this is because of a semi-globe.
Well, Pon was pretty passionate about this one as we try, and this is like an
Okay.
example for how we're going to move forward with this. So for Smite Season 5 balance, especially in the new map, we want to be very aware of mobility and global ultimates.
Yeah.
Specifically, we targeted Ratatosker because he had multiple factors of this. He had a low cooldown, long distance dash, he had a global ult, and he had an ability that allowed him to buy more items, his passive, buy items from the map, which is, so he had like 3 advantages of this new map, where most gods only have like 2.
Sure.
So we're taking him down first. We're going to continue looking at gods like this, and one of the things we'll probably be doing in a lot of cases if we see this is increase the cooldown of leaps and dashes. So if we see specific gods, Relics, Suku or something, if she's overperforming really
Yeah,
heavily,
they're gonna
maybe
end
we'll
up
take that
fucking
cooldown up a
nerfing
couple
Helix
seconds.
again.
This is
My
something we
Mercury's
wanna
gonna be
do
too strong. They're gonna nerf Mercury,
as we
make
go
his
forward.
dash cost
So we're not doing this
800
just
mana.
on every single fast character in the game right now.
Sure.
We know we're pretty certain that
That'd be
Ratatosker was
annoying.
going to
Yeah,
be very strong.
him being able to
Pun.
buy his Acorn out in the middle of the map is really impactful. Where other characters have to back is a huge shift for him.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at that as we go forward. So
Okay.
we'll try that out together, and we'll see. And we think, overall, that as a whole, at making leaps and dashes have a little bit longer cooldown on certain gods that need it will be a good thing for players all over the game. Those are very powerful abilities. You don't want, free escapes. We want you to really think about it when you use those types of abilities.
Why
So overall, I think it'll have a
my
positive
shit not
effect going forward.
working?
So
Put
after
me on
those changes, we're
BTS,
going to look
boys.
at some additional adjustments as well. We're going to start this off with Nike, first of all. Nike's getting a bit of an adjustment is what we put down on the list, and Nike is now knockback immune while channeling this ability on Rent. We've decreased the damage, however, which was 50 to 190, is now going to be 50 to 170, so early game, definitely improvements. But this technically does help a lot of her lane matchups that she was struggling with.
Yeah, so Nike is an interesting one. We've been trying to convey this to the community that she is one of the strongest gods in the game. Undeniably so.
Okay.
She
For
is
months.
extremely, since forever.
Yeah.
But we still get constant
High win rate.
requests to buff her.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy to us. We don't really normally see things in this direction when you're so statistically performing so well in so many ways, and people still constantly asking for buffs. We think it's because of her interruptibility.
Yeah.
So she feels like she's very counterable.
She
We also saw this
feels
in our
like
stats
shit,
where
but
the
she's
higher level
actually
she
pretty
dropped off
damn
a little
good.
bit. Not notably, she's still a very, very good god, but
Yeah,
she
was
dropped
still,
off a
like,
little bit.
She was in like
Fuck you,
top 20
Miniman.
versus like top 1.
Yeah, and that's because people were interrupting her. So really what we want to do was make her knockback immune while she's channeling. This is something people expect from these type of abilities in Smite anyway. It kind of felt strange, felt odd.
Sure.
But then take her damage down a little bit, see if this makes the perception match the reality a little better, and then see where she falls. She very, very likely might need more nerfs, which I know, I'm sorry you guys think
Probably
I'm crazy
will.
for that, but she's just
Probably will.
absolutely performing so strongly. And we've written it, we've messaged it, we've talked about it everywhere, so we're going to finally talk about it here too. She is extremely good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you
Yeah,
asked
I'd say
for
the
buffs,
passive
and
is one
we
of the
can't give
most
those to you because she's already
nasty
the best,
part.
I
one
mean,
of the best gods in the game.
knockback immunity is pretty strong.
It is. This is a buff in a lot of scenarios, but not in every scenario. So that's why we have it here under the adjustments.
And
section.
her average damage over the course of a game, especially in games where we don't actually expect that she's getting interrupted that often, is going significantly down.
Okay.
Right.
After Nike, we're going to talk about Toth. Hieroglyphic Assault is the thing that's going to get changed. Increased base damage from 35 to 115. It's going to be 40 to 120. So he was struggling in the early game in terms of clear, is what a lot of people were saying, and that's, I guess, the area we buffed, right?
Yep.
Toth is interesting. He's kind of the opposite case of Nike.
Right.
Most people
Think he's OP.
think he's OP, but he's actually very
Sure.
low performance.
There's a,
So we finally saw towards the end of Season 5 his popularity and his prioritization finally dropped down a little bit for other mages. This kind of opened up the window for us to give him a buff that honestly I think he's been needing for quite a while.
Yeah.
He is one of the lower damaging mages. People struggle to clear with him early. He has a lot of skill shots. You have to hit all of them to be impactful. So getting just a slight damage adjustment here to bring him in line.
And last but not least to talk about is going to be Tear. Power Cleave. Increase the heal physical power scaling from 0% to 20%. So take
So you heal more over
Yeah,
time.
so his
If you
healing
go
active
damage.
skills, it was a flat heal
So
before.
they want him. Well, I
and
guess
this
he's
really
gonna
comes off a
scale
change that we
anyway.
made really
But
early season
if
4
you
where
go
he was
damage, it'll be
really strong.
interesting.
We changed the healing so that it only worked single off gods and it was kind of capped when you did it with minions.
Yep.
And then since then we saw him really struggle. We made a few adjustments to try and bring him back. None of them really impacted him enough to kind of bring him back into solo lane. We didn't see him very often in a lot of competitive settings. And so now we're looking to bring back a little bit more of his healing that really did bring him low before. We don't want to bring back all of it because it was frustrating to fight him just healing up to full.
Sure.
So now, with his normal build, he's going to get a little bit of additional scaling. And if he really wants to actually make this heal super good, he has to start sacrificing his actual bulk to get physical power and actually make that heal more impactful. Right. So a little bit of buff for the tanky tiers. If you're more of aggressive tier, it's more of a bigger buff. So your playstyle gets kind of changed based off this adjustment.
more heals for Tear.
We did it. How
That's
long
it?
did it take?
Yeah,
What
what
time
time
is
is
That's
it?
it.
Long enough.
That's it.
Now-
Hey,
Yeah,
we almost did it.
Yeah, 145.
Woo! BTS is
We're
go
really
up.
close.
I was over.
When is BTS gonna be
So,
up?
what's going to be happening right now? Before I let you go,
Yeah.
because these guys are about to disappear to go and do some playtests and start doing stuff. When's the patch notes going to be formally released on?
Fuck patch notes.
to the
BTS.
public?
I think
For the
they're out
24th?
now.
Are they out now
Very
already?
shortly, if
Okay.
not out now.
Yeah, they're out.
Okay.
Patch notes are out. Full
BTS.
numbers.
Very shortly.
We're doing some final tests right now.
Today?
It should be today. yes.
The goal is today, yes.
There
Okay.
might be a couple bugs. I think Spectral Armor might have an
When's it
issue.
go up?
Blessings had some selling issues we're still trying to resolve. You'll have a couple things.
Sure.
But PTS is planned to be
I
out today.
think the people at home will be okay with a couple of small issues like that if it means they could test the game.
Yes, they will.
So let's get to work on it, boys.
Sounds
BTS
good.
isn't
Get
up.
off
I'm
myself. Go and
on
fix
the
For
fucking
you guys who are
BTS thing
still
right
here
now.
with
It's
me,
not
though,
up.
don't go anywhere because we're going to give you guys something special right now. We're going to actually give you a live first look at a PTS where we're going to cast it. And I get to cast a game now after doing a 4 hour and 45-minute patch note show. That's going to be amazing and a really good time. I'm just waiting for AJ to get out of the chair so we can